BZA. As you can see, we're a little short-staffed tonight. Apparently there was a wreck on 526 that has held up some of our members, but we have a quorum present, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And hopefully some of the people that I'll announce as we go through the list of board members that are present will show up as the meeting proceeds. So to my right, we have Mr. Neal and Mr. Seidel. Mr. Brown and Mr. Truslow should be here shortly. And to my left, we have Mr. Jordan, and we have Miss Jessica Smith. Miss Shana Smith should be here soon, and I'm Ross Nelson. Is Mr. Ray going to be here as well? Okay, so Mr. Ray should be here. Our actual chair should be here shortly. Staff members present are Genesis Clark, Kyle Foster, Cole Hare, Riley Hayes, and Andrea's not here, is she? Oh, there you go. Sorry. I was confused. And Jenny working. Thank you. And Kelvin Hugie, our BZA attorney, is present. So because the hearing tonight is a public fact-finding meeting, we are in compliance with the Freedom of Information Act and SC Code 62970. 15 days prior to this hearing, an announcement was printed in the Post and Courier, a sign was posted on or near a designated property, and a notice was mailed to the applicant or the applicant's representative. Property owners within at least 300 feet of the property and to parties in interest. Persons, organizations, and news media that have requested a declaration of our meeting have also been notified. Board members, the meeting notes for the March 2nd, 2026 annual business meeting and the March 2nd, 2026 public hearing were sent to you. Are there any changes? If not, may I have a motion to approve and a second?
So move.
I have a motion and a motion made by Mr. Neal and a second by Mr. Seidel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Raise your right hand. Aye. The motion carries. Our case rulings from this and any BZA meeting are available for public review and inspection during normal business hours at the Charleston County Zoning and Planning Department. The Board of Zoning Appeals is a quasi-judicial body that has final decision authority on the following matters: appeals of zoning-related administrative decisions. The BZA is authorized to hear and decide appeals only on zoning-related matters where it is alleged that there is an error in any order, requirement, decision, or determination made by an administrative official in the administration or enforcement of any of the zoning-related regulations. A 2/3 vote of the quorum present is required to overturn the decision of the planning director in an appeal. A special exception is an exception issued by the BZA authorizing a particular use in a specified location within a zoning district upon demonstrating that such use complies with all the conditions, standards specified by the Zoning and Land Development Regulations Ordinance, which we will also refer to as ZELDAR tonight. The BZA must find that the special exception request meets all 6 of the approval criteria in the ordinance in order to grant the special exception. A simple majority is required to grant a special exception. A variance is a relaxation by the BZA of the dimensional regulations of the ordinance where such action will not be contrary to the public interest and where, owing to conditions peculiar to the property and not the result of the actions or situation of the applicant, a literal enforcement of this code would result in an unnecessary and undue hardship. And such variance is consistent with Section 6-29-800 of the Code of Laws of South Carolina, Title 6, Chapter 29. The BZA must find that the variance request meets all 7 of the approval criteria in the ordinance in order to grant the variance. A simple majority is required to grant a variance. Our purpose tonight is for interested parties to be heard in order to assist the board in gathering evidence pertinent to each case. If the members of the BZA feel the need for further information to clarify a case, the board has the authority to subpoena witnesses. It must be understood that the rules of your neighborhood or subdivision are binding and that we can take no action that will negate their jurisdiction over your property. In addition to your testimony, our board has been presented written information submitted to the staff by the applicant or the applicant's agent for each case. This information is now considered to be evidence and is entered into the permanent record of this body. It is assumed that it is complete, true, and accurate. In addition, we have been presented data assembled by the staff for the purpose of clarifying the location and the application's effect on surrounding property. Our board is empowered to approve with conditions, or to deny a special exception or a variance request. We are also authorized to defer a case should there be a need to obtain additional information. The BZA's final decision will be mailed within 10 working days of this public hearing. It will be mailed via certified mail to applicants and via U.S. mail to neighbor and community interest notice list. If an applicant's request is approved, the applicant should contact the Charleston County Zoning and Planning Department staff to discuss the next steps in the process. Variances and special exceptions granted this evening are valid for 12 months after this meeting, and a one-year extension may be granted only if construction or development has commenced or is being diligently pursued. However, if an applicant's request is disapproved and if the applicant wishes to appeal the decision of this board concerning the case, appeals must be addressed to the Circuit Court. SC Code 629-820 states that an appeal must be filed by the applicant within 30 days after the decision of this board is mailed to them. Failure to file an appeal within the time limit deprives the court of the jurisdiction to hear the matter. Because this is a quasi-judicial body, everything said in this meeting must be complete, true, and accurate. All of the information provided to the BZA is considered evidence, and this board may certify contempt of circuit court if false statements are made either in writing or orally. Each person who wishes to address this board will be sworn in by the BZA secretary before they provide testimony or evidence. In order to expedite this procedure, those wishing to speak will stand as a group, and Mrs. Working will administer the oath.
Please stand and raise your right hand. I will say the oath, and you will say I do. I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now call each case by the case number. Staff will present facts pertinent to the case, limited to 5 minutes. I will then call the applicant. The applicant will stand and state his or her name and the current address for the record before presenting testimony pertinent to the case, again, limited to 5 minutes. I will then ask for all those speaking either in support or in opposition to the case, and they will follow the same procedure for identifying themselves and are limited to 2 minutes each. The applicant will then have the chance to reply to any opposition, limited to 2 minutes, and the BZA will make a motion to close the case to the public. Finally, the BZA will make a motion concerning the application, stating specific findings of fact and conclusions of law. Tonight, we will hear 1 old business case and 9 new business public hearing cases. We recognize that several applicants might not be here tonight, so the order in which we hear cases may shift around depending upon when people can arrive tonight. The applicant for case number BZA 1025-00915 would like to approach the board with a request a continuance to the next available agenda, which is July 13th. Is the applicant here and ready to make that request? Hi. State your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Katie Austin Heatherly. I'm at 1606 Teal Marsh Road.
Can you pull the microphone up?
Yes. Katie Austin Heatherly at 1606 Teal Marsh Road on James Island, Charleston, South Carolina 29412.
Thank you. And state your request and why you are making the request.
Yes, we are respectfully asking for another continuance. As you may remember, we asked for a continuance at our last meeting because we were under the impression that the adjacent property owner was going to sit down with us and try to work on a solution to keep the tree and also provide access to the property owners in the back, including ourselves. Since that meeting, that property owner has not been willing to sit down nor work with us on a solution to save the tree. We have attempted many times to engage him through multiple avenues, including third parties and attorneys, to no avail. We have diligently been pursuing other avenues to gain access to our property without having to ask to take the tree down. And we are hoping that we have found another solution, another way to be successful in that pursuit to keep the tree. We have spoken to a member of county council, and based on his advice and ideas, our legal counsel has advised us to apply for emergency vehicle access through the correct agency. And our legal counsel will be facilitating that for us as soon as possible. Our main goal is, again, to gain legal access to our property for us and for those other property owners behind the tree without taking down the tree. So we respectfully ask the board to grant us that continuance so that we may continue working on a solution. We thank you
All
for
right.
that consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Heatherly. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Mr.
Question
George?
for staff.
Okay.
This person that she's been trying to reach out to, have y'all heard anything from that person?
Yes, they're opposed to the removal of the tree,
But I mean, since all this, have they reached back out to y'all for whatever reason?
just to submit comments that they're opposed to the tree removal.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, can I get a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we defer this item.
Is there a second? I'll give Mr. Brown with the second, Mr. Neal with the motion. Is there any other discussion? So all right, all those in favor, please say aye. Raise your right hand.
Aye.
It's unanimous, so I guess it will be heard on July 13th.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's the correct date, right? Thank you. All right. Our next case this evening is BZA 0226000937, and Mr. Hare will make the presentation.
Is Sam or Nikki Brock here? Okay, we'll call you up. I just want to make sure you guys weren't stuck in traffic. Okay. The applicants and property owners, Sam and Nikki Brock, are requesting a special exception to establish a short-term rental property, extended home rental, at 2783 Exchange Landing Road, TMS number 31700000023 on Johns Island in Charleston County. The subject property and adjacent parcels are located within the low-density residential R4 zoning district. According to Charleston County records, the property contains a single-family residence constructed in 2021 with 4 bedrooms. The applicant proposes to utilize the residence as an extended home rental by making 1 bedroom available for rent, accommodating a maximum of 4 guests and providing 3 on-site parking spaces in compliance with the Charleston County Zoning and Land Development Regulations Ordinance, ZELDAR. The property is owner-occupied and therefore is eligible for a limited home rental permit. However, the applicants have not pursued the LHR option and instead are seeking a special exception to operate the use as an extended home rental. Here's the location of the property when looking at the county as a whole. This is a zoning ordinance section pertaining to STRs in the R4 low-density residential zoning district. The 300-foot radius, the aerials. We posted the property on March 11th of 2026. Here are pictures of the single-family residence and its parking, pictures of the adjacent properties, Exchange Landing Road, the site plan. Here's a zoomed-in version of the site plan so you can see a little bit better. The tenant notice and the plat. Regarding the 3 approval criteria, staff stated that it may meet criteria 1 through 3. The Board of Zoning Appeals may approve with conditions, or deny case based on the BZA's findings of fact unless additional information is deemed necessary to make an informed decision. In the event the board decides to approve the application, the board should consider the following conditions recommended by staff. 1, prior to the zoning permit approval, the applicant shall complete the STRP limited site plan review process. 2, the use shall comply with all requirements of Article 6.8. 3, the property shall not be used as a short-term rental for more than 144 days in aggregate during any calendar year. And 4, the property owner shall be responsible for ensuring that tenants comply with the Charleston County noise ordinance. Is there any questions?
Do we have any questions for staff? Mr. Neal? All right, there being no questions for staff, Mr. Ray has returned, who will take the chair here shortly. But I'll go ahead and call the applicant forward. If you could state your name and address for the record and tell us why we should approve your request.
Good evening. My name's Sam Brock. I live at 2783 Exchange Landing Road on Johns Island, 29455. So, of course, I'm here today looking for approval for the short-term rental. My wife and I have owned the property since 2013. We live there full-time. It's our primary residence. The unit we're seeking approval on is the finished room above our garage, so it has its own separate entrance and parking, separate from our primary residence. We have an on-site 2-yard dumpster that's serviced weekly, so trash won't be an issue. Like I said, we live on site full-time and we'll manage the property, so noise and parties won't be an issue. Our house is, you probably saw it on the plat, we're about 600 feet off of Exchange Landing Road. So if we do get approved, the guest cars can't even be seen by any of our neighbors. That's really all I have to say tonight, so I'll turn it back over to the board.
Very good. All right, let's see who has a question. We'll start on my very far right. Yes, sir.
Welcome, Mr. Chair. Thank you. I just have a question. It's one bedroom, but you're wanting 4 people in there? Are you putting bunk beds in
We've
there?
got a sleeper sofa and a bedroom. So the setup is a bedroom, a living room, and a bathroom.
So you're turning one of the bedrooms, so it's really 2 bedrooms then?
I guess it could be, I mean,
That's all I need to know. Thanks.
Anyone else got a question? What about on my left? All right, yes, sir.
4 o'clock in the morning, there's trouble. Who do they call?
me,
Are you going to answer or is your recorder going to answer?
I'm going to answer. Have to.
And how far do you live from it?
I'm on property. It's the finished roof above our garage.
That's what I thought you said.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's pretty good. Access. Thank you.
All right, no one else? Okay. Thank you so very much for your
thank y'all.
testimony.
Thank you.
Yes. Do we have anyone else to speak in favor of this application? Do we have anyone else to speak in favor? Do we have anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak in opposition? Very good, then. I can't keep everything. Case is closed to the public. Board members, do we have any questions of staff? Any general discussion? Very good. Therefore, I need a motion to either approve or deny this application. Mr. Sedell, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, in the case of BZA 0226000957, I move that we approve this request for an extended home rental. I find that it meets all of the requirements for approval. It's compatible with existing uses.
3-7, right?
It's 937. You said 57. It's 937.
I'm sorry, 937. I stand corrected.
Sorry.
Thank you. I find it meets all of the requirements for such a short-term rental. It's compatible with existing uses in the vicinity and does not adversely affect the general welfare or character of the immediate vicinity. We heard testimony from Mr. Brock that the house is 600 feet off the road and the parking will not even be visible to the other members of the community. Adequate provision is made to protect adjacent properties, his on-site trash removal, and he has stated that he will be available and is living on the property, therefore will be able to address any concerns that neighbors may have about noise or any other matter. And finally, that it complies with all applicant rules, regulations, and laws and standards of the ordinance. And I think there were conditions, four conditions by staff. My motion includes that they adhere to all 4 conditions.
Okay, can I get a second? All right, I have a second next to me. All right. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, sir. Your application has been approved. Within 10 days, you'll be getting information from staff letting you know the next steps in the process. Very good. Our next case, if I can get to it. It's case BZA 0226009338. Thank you.
Is David Stedman? Okay, perfect. The applicant and property owner, David Stedman, is requesting a special exception to establish a short-term rental property, extended home rental at 1512 Jones Street, TMS number 352-1300137 in the St. Andrews area of Charleston County. The subject property and adjacent parcels to the south and the west are located within the low-density residential R4 zoning district, while adjacent parcels to the north fall under the jurisdiction of the city of Charleston. According to Charleston County records, the property contains a single-family residence constructed in 2000 with 3 bedrooms. The applicant proposes to utilize the residence as an extended home rental by making all 3 bedrooms available for rent, accommodating a maximum a maximum of 8 guests and providing 5 on-site parking spaces in compliance with the Charleston County Zoning and Land Development Regulations Ordinance, ZELDAR. Since the property is not owner-occupied, it does not qualify as a limited home rental, and it must be reviewed as an extended home rental in accordance with the ZELDAR requirements. This is the location of the property when looking at the county as a whole. This is the zoning ordinance section pertaining to STRs in the R4 low-density residential zoning district. The 300-foot radius map. This is the aerials of the property.
You can't get it?
We posted the property on March 11th of 2026. Here are pictures of the subject property, single-family residence, and its parking. Pictures of the adjacent properties. Jones Street, East Avalon Circle, the site plan, tenant notice, and the plat. Regarding the 3 approval criteria, staff stated that it may meet criteria 1 through 3. The Board of Zoning Appeals may approve with conditions, or deny case based on the BZA's findings of fact unless additional information is deemed necessary to make an informed decision. In the event that the board decides to approve the application, the board should consider the following conditions recommended by staff. 1, prior to the zoning permit approval, the applicant shall complete the STRP limited site plan review process. 2, the use shall comply with all requirements of Article 6.8. 3, the property shall not be used as a short-term rental for more than 144 days in aggregate during any calendar year. And 4, the property owner shall be responsible for ensuring that tenants comply with the Charleston County noise ordinance. Is there any questions?
Mr. Brown?
I'm just going to point out that we can't see our
Yes. Well,
any
thank
of the
you.
documents on our PDF here, so
I thought I was.
Yeah.
Can anyone see their documents? No? So we're all flying blind here.
yes,
No, I think we all heard, but unless,
so maybe we just can't see any of the site plans or anything, so it's
Okay.
just a blew through if we need to reference them or something.
This is the site plan here. There, 1 parking spot in the garage, 2 on the driveway, and then these 3 in the front yard. How many bedrooms? 3 bedrooms. This is the tenant notice. So 3 bedrooms right here, 1 right here, and then 2 right here in the front. This is the plat of the property, this corner lot here. Is there anything else y'all want to see?
yes, Mr. Neal.
Can you go back to the application?
I don't know if we'll have that on here.
It's not bringing anything up. I'll get you next.
Correct, and it's, I'll be quiet.
Application's got a lot of
Yeah.
stuff on it. That's
It's
fine.
not on- it's not
I'm
gonna be
fine
on
right now.
this presentation.
Mr. Chair, I'm fine.
If there's any
Okay.
questions, I can answer them for you.
Mr. Nelson has one.
Yeah.
Mr. Hare, on the parking plan, if you pull that up, there are 2 parking spaces by the street that are scratched out. Did they not meet the 9/18 requirements?
They did, but they're in the right of way, so you can see that front property line. It cuts into those parking spaces. He had to cut those out because we can't allow any parking spaces in the right of way. So he had to move 2 additional into the front lawn. So.
Okay. Can you show the picture of the front of the house?
Yeah. What's a good picture?
That's a good picture there.
Yeah.
Long driveway.
So that's a
So they can't consider, even though that driveway is long enough to accommodate 2 more vehicles, they can't count that in their application.
Yes, sir. In the limited site plan review process, the site plan is also reviewed by our stormwater department, and they don't allow any parking in the right-of-way area. So just behind that car that you see in that picture on the left that space would cut into the right-of-way.
Okay.
Yeah,
So they have a shallow front yard, basically.
correct.
Lot
A little
line.
bit.
Lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Does anybody else on my left, Ms. Smith? No? Oh, yes, sir. Welcome.
Thank
You
you.
caught in that same traffic that I was caught in.
Correct. Took an hour and a half
So,
to get here.
so, ladies and gentlemen, we were caught in this traffic and on 526, and we were just a little tardy getting in. Probably took us, I know it took me 45 minutes, if not longer. So,
Hour
go
and a
ahead.
half.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, sir. You had a question.
Thank you for your presentation. It looks like it's a very thorough job. I had a question. I don't know the answer to, under 9.3.2, the garage is required by law to be ready to use. Did anybody inspect it to see whether it's used for storage, or since parking is an issue, have we made sure that the space is ready to use for parking purposes?
So typically on our site visits, we don't look inside the unit. We've talked about it, but seeing that the property is not owner occupied, we don't necessarily feel like there's a concern to see if there's any space. As long as the floor plan shows and the site plan shows that a 9-foot by 18-foot space can fit in there, then we.
I understand. I was thinking in terms of trust but verify.
Yeah. We don't look inside the garage, but yeah.
Okay.
If it's not owner occupied, so nobody's living at the
I
property.
would respectfully suggest that we should, because if you've got, you got to have requisite parking spaces, and this can be a real problem for the neighborhood.
Okay.
Thank you.
That was a really good question and good observation. Very good. Anyone else? Okay. Is the applicant present? Very good. Please come forward. Please state your name and record. Name and address for the record, please.
Okay. David Stedman here to talk about 1512 Jones Street. This was previously my personal residence, so lived there for about 8 years. Me and my wife have recently moved down the street, so we're less than 5 minutes around the corner at 1483 Village Road, which is City of Charleston address, but still right around the corner. And we're seeking to do the extended home rental for that property. It is one that me and my wife have talked about, and I've expressed with the neighbors our intent as well to use that as an extended home rental. Just because I've been there for so long, I know all the direct neighbors right around as well. So, but that is our current plan for that property. It is currently being used as just a rental, and we would like to go for a short-term rental.
So is currently you have long-term rentals in there?
Midterm. Right now.
Midterm.
Yeah. They actually checked out today, but yeah, it was a good time, but maybe. We'll see.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that?
Since they checked in January.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's see if anyone on my right has a question for you. Anyone on my right?
Did you want to ask about the garage?
I was going to ask about the garage.
Go ahead.
Sir, we just want to make sure that the neighborhood is protected. There's got to be requisite number of parking spaces, and that would, in this case, it includes the garage, and it has to be readily available for use for parking rather than for storage of items. If we went in there this afternoon or tomorrow morning, would it have 9 by 18 and a half?
This afternoon? No. Tomorrow morning? Yes. So there was currently one cabinet in there, which doesn't impede a car, and then one foosball table that has been in there. But that is it. It's just one, and that was in there at the time of the application as well. And we've had a tenant in there, so I've not removed it. But that can be removed. Have a photo out. I can pull that out this afternoon if that is an issue. Yes.
What you're telling us, you're going to take care of that concern?
Yes, sir. Yes, I'll take that out of there, and that won't be a problem at all.
Okay. I had one other question that comes to mind there. A lot of reasons. We've got 8 guests. Trash is picked up once a week, once every 2 weeks?
Yes, sir. Once a week, trash comes. That house, I don't know why, but when I lived there, they actually dropped off 2 trash cans while I was there, so we have been able to utilize that whenever I was there. There are 2 trash cans at that house, which should be able to accommodate any guests, and it comes once a week on Thursday.
You don't know this, but I live on the Isle of Palms, and we've got.
Use your mic, my friend. Use your mic.
We've got tremendous problems or challenges, I would say. And we want to make sure that everybody's protected. You're protected. Your neighbors are protected, and it's fortunate for us. You live down the street.
Yes, sir.
But often what we see is people will leave on days other than the day that trash is picked up. They take the trash duly out to the street. Raccoons get in it, coyotes get in it, dogs get in it, the wind blows it over. Are you telling us you're going to be there to make sure that the trash is doesn't litter the street, that it's put out, the cans are put out at the requisite time, and are taken back out?
Yes, sir. My trash day is on Wednesday, and that one's on Thursday, and it's on the way into work. So the plan right now is to hit that on the way into work every Thursday, and then again, the neighbors directly across the street. I've asked them, hey, if there are any issues with the current renters, or the future renters, to please let me know. But
So you live just down the street, as I understand.
yes, sir. So if you, I guess it's less than 5 minutes across like one street light right around the corner. So the current tenants have had an issue, and we were able to run over there and take care of it pretty quick. So
All right. Thank you.
yes, sir.
Anyone else on my right have a question? Anyone on the left? All right. Thank you. Thank you so very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else to speak in favor of this application? Do we have anyone else to speak in favor? Do we have anyone to speak in opposition?
Yeah, just use the PDF link.
Do we have anyone to speak in opposition? Very good. This case is closed to the public. Board members, do we have any questions of staff? Do we have any general discussion? I know everybody's getting nervous.
Okay, thank you.
I pass back together. All right. So if we don't, I can't see either. Thank you. Does anybody on my right have a good iPad where you can see what's going on? Oh, on my left. Okay. So, very good. So you know where I'm going. I need a motion to approve or deny.
Mr. Chair, in the matter of BZA 0226000938, I would make a motion that we approve this request. That one, it is compatible with existing uses in the vicinity and will not adversely affect the general welfare or character of the immediate community, compelled by the applicant's testimony that one, he lives nearby and he can take care of trash and any issues as they arise at this particular rental location. That two, that adequate provision is made for such is made and or exists for such items as setbacks, buffering to protect adjacent properties from possible adverse influence of the proposed use. I think the fact that we have had no neighbors complain about the potential for a short-term rental next to them is evidence to the relationship that this individual has with his neighbors. And criterion three, that it complies with all applicable rules, regulations, laws, and standards of this ordinance, but not limited to conditions, zoning district standards, and applicable STRP site review requirements. In making this motion, I would include the 4 special conditions recommended by staff.
Very good. Do we have a second? That's okay.
I'll
got a second.
second.
Mr. Brown.
Either
All
way.
right. Well, either way. Thank you. Any discussion? Very good. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye and raising your right hand. Aye. Any opposed? There is none. Congratulations, sir. Within 10 days, you'll be getting information from our staff letting you know the next steps in the process. Once again, congratulations, and get that garage cleaned out now. Okay. Our next case is case BZA 0226000940, and Mr. Harris doing that one as well.
The applicant and property owner Haley Friedman of Jedi Investments is requesting a special exception to establish a short-term rental property, extended home rental at 1980 Wild Wing Lane, TMS number 331-0700107 on James Island in Charleston County. The subject property and adjacent parcels are located within the within the manufactured housing subdivision MHS zoning district. According to Charleston County records, the subject property contains a single-family residence constructed in 1998 with 3 bedrooms. However, based on the floor plan including in the tenant notice, the home appears to contain 4 bedrooms. The applicant does propose to utilize all bedrooms for the EHR use, accommodating a maximum of 8 guests, and the site contains 7 on-site parking spaces in compliance with the Charleston County Zoning and Land Development Regulations Ordinance, ZELDAR.
Thank you, sir.
The owner previously did receive a special exception approval, BZA case 0522000580 in 2022 for the STRP EHR use. However, the applicant did not obtain the required zoning permit following the BZA's approval. Additionally, the current request reflects a revised proposal that includes an additional bedroom in the application beyond what was approved in 2022. And because the property is not owner occupied, it does not qualify for a limited home rental LHR permit, and it must be reviewed as an extended home rental pursuant to the ZELDAR requirements. This is the location of the property when looking at the county as a whole. This is the zoning ordinance section pertaining to STRs in the MHS Manufactured Housing Subdivision Zoning District. The 300-foot radius map. The aerials of the property. We posted the property on March 11th of 2026. Here are pictures of the subject property, single-family residence and its parking, adjacent surrounding properties. Wild Wing Lane, the site plan, tenant notice, and the plat. Regarding the 3 approval criteria, staff stated that it may meet criteria 1 through 3. The Board of Zoning Appeals may approve with conditions, or deny case based on the BZA's findings of fact unless additional information is deemed necessary to make an informed decision. In the event the board decides to approve the application, the board should consider the following conditions recommended by staff. 1, prior to the zoning permit approval, the applicant shall complete the STRP limited site plan review process. 2, the use shall comply with all requirements of Article 6.8. 3, the property shall not be used as a short-term rental for more than 144 days in aggregate during any calendar year. 4, the property owner shall be responsible for ensuring that tenants comply with the Charleston County noise ordinance. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Hare. Mr. Brown, you have a question?
I heard you mention, and I also read that previously there were, I guess on record, there's 3 bedrooms, but now there's 4. Was that, there's always been 4 and they just applied for 3, the previous permit, variance request or whatever? Special exception, excuse me.
I'm not sure when the bedroom change happened. The 3 bedrooms was just shown on the tax record. That's what we look at for Charleston County records when we put these into our presentations. But yes, they did apply back in 2022 for 3 bedrooms to advertise for rent. This application was for 4, so they would be required to get a special exception.
Did y'all research the bedroom change of,
was
this permitted? Was it allowed?
The floor plans are the exact same, so I'm not sure why there's a discrepancy between the tax record, but the floor plans were the same. It was just the application was different. That it was one was 3 bedrooms and the other one was 4.
Okay, so
which
that's
changes the parking
discrepancy
requirements as well.
Yeah,
so.
but it's not that there's some bedroom that has shown up on the plans or whatever in the meantime. That's what I'm trying to understand.
There was just a difference in the number that they're asking to advertise.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Did I understand that this property had previously applied for a short-term rental? It had been approved. It had gone through the review process, and then did they purchase the necessary permit to operate for a short-term rental?
They did not. So after the BZA decision,
did they operate without getting the permit? Because that to me is
I'm not
very important.
I couldn't tell you that because I wasn't here during that time and I wasn't monitoring short-term rentals, so I could not tell you if they were operating without a permit or not with the permit. I'm not sure.
Okay. Then the same question about that I had before about the garage.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed one bay is open. Mm-hmm. Do we know whether
it was open when we went there?
Is there room to park in there as if we went out there right now?
There's space shown on the site plan that will fit 2 parking spaces based on the dimensions for a 9-foot by 18-foot space.
We don't know whether it's readily available for use.
We don't inspect the inside.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Last thing, are they on septic or sewer?
City water, city sewer.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. All right.
All great questions. Anyone else on that side? Anyone on my left? Very good. You know you have a new requirement, right? Is the applicant present? Please come forward. Please state your name and address for the record, and please tell us why we should approve your application.
Okay. My name name is Jenny Fedewa.
Just a little bit louder and into the mic. There we go.
I'm here on behalf of Haley Friedman. She is out of the country currently. So I work with Haley. She formerly lived in the house.
Wait a minute. State your name and address again.
Oh, Jenny Fedewa, and regarding 1980 Wild Wing Lane.
But your address is?
3481 Forest Glen Drive, Charleston.
Okay. And you are, okay.
Yes, I'm here on behalf of Haley.
Okay.
She's out of the country, but she lived in the property for 2 years, and then she moved over to West Ashley. I help her with the Airbnbs. This is one of 4 that we have. I'm kind of her backup, so she monitors everything, and then when she needs an extra set of hands, I'm there.
Okay. So you just told us who you are, but why should we approve this application?
Well, it's a beautiful property, and we'd love to share it with anybody traveling to Charleston or even locals that might want to stay closer to the beach. We love it, and we want to keep it within our portfolio and not sell it for the chances that she might move back into it at some point.
Okay, so you've been her right-hand person.
I am, yes.
You've heard some of the questions that we've had posed of staff.
Sure.
Would you like to entertain those questions for us?
Like which one? Parking, there's plenty of parking.
You can start there.
The garage is open. There is nothing in there, so you could do cartwheels in there if you wanted to. As far as the trash goes, it's picked up weekly. We do have 2 trash cans and recycling bins. We do also have a staff that come by and clean after each tenant checks out. And they also keep an eye on the trash for us as well. So if we need to go by and pick anything up, or even we'll take recycling to the center ourselves if we need to. Let's see. Yes, it is on city sewer, city water.
So I know Mr. Sedale has a question about your application in 2022, so I'm going to let him entertain that for us. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Can you respond? I would be very concerned, and we wouldn't want to condone conduct that wasn't appropriate. I understand the property was previously they had applied, or the owner had applied for a short-term rental. It was approved for a short-term rental for based on 3 bedrooms. The law would require the applicant to then get a permit before they could operate as a short-term rental. Was the property rented without complying with the law?
I am not sure the answer to that, because I do know there was an issue with the permit. I believe that she had it, and then she found out recently that it was not the case. So I'm not sure how the events transpired, but that's why she reapplied and trying to get this going again.
Was it rented?
I believe so.
So it was rented without a permit?
I would make the assumption, but I do know it was more of a long-term, mid-term situation. I can't speak for the short term. Like I said, she's the one that monitors all of the reservations and on all of our properties. I'm just kind of a backup.
All right.
When she needs it.
Cole just handed me this. Yeah.
And one final thing, with 8 guests, you heard my question before. I live in an area where people come for short-term rentals. Most of them are very good, but sometimes they leave on days on days other than trash pickup. So it either sits out there, gets turned over, or it doesn't get taken out, and it's a problem for the entire community. Who is going to, if you've got 8 people, statistics show that short-term rentals generate a lot more trash than somebody that is living, pizza boxes and on and on. Sure. Who's going to monitor this and make sure that the community is accommodated?
Well, we both do. We're both local. We both live in West Ashley, so she's actually a little bit closer than I am. And we also have the cleaning ladies that go by after every checkout, and they always notify us if there's any issues. And like I said, if the trash is overflowing or, they'll let us know, and we'll go over there and take care of it.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions on this side?
It's probably the same question as.
Okay,
on that
well,
side.
yes,
I'm going
sir.
to let him go.
So who takes care of the 4 o'clock complaint call?
We both do. Her most of the time, but I'm always backup. So if she's traveling, that's me.
How long time will it take you to get there?
20 minutes.
At 4 o'clock in the
Her,
morning?
probably 10.
Okay, but y'all can do that. You will do it.
Oh, they do. They do. We've been there. I've seen it all. I also handle our long-term rentals, so you never know.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. Are you a licensed agent, real estate agent?
I am.
And what's the name of the company?
I'm not under a brokerage right now. It's on inactive, but I am a licensed agent.
Okay. All right. And so do you use Airbnb, Barbo? What is it?
Personally,
Yes. Well, to advertise the units.
I do not. She does.
She does. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But you manage everything for her, right?
I help her, yes.
You help her. Okay. All right. Anyone else have a question? Yes, sir, Mr. Brown.
Can you tell us how long your partner, I'm sorry, Mrs. Friedman, how long she's owned the property?
I believe she purchased it in 2019 or 2020.
All right. We're good? Thank you so very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else to speak in support of this application? Do we have anyone else to speak in support? Do we have anyone to speak in opposition? Do we have anyone to speak in opposition? Very good. This case is closed to the public. Board members, do we have any questions of staff? Any general discussion? We need a motion. Mr. Brown, you have a question for discussion?
It's more of a comment, but go ahead, Mr. Seidel, I'll follow you.
Let's see the comment first.
Sorry.
I had a comment. I have a problem if and when people are required to get a permit, and this has been in the newspaper a lot lately. They're required to get a permit to have a short-term rental. They don't get it. They go ahead and rent it. They can't say ignorant. I mean, ignorance is no excuse, but it's hard to find that to be appropriate. How is this to be dealt with? Well, what I've seen the county say is they're just going to make somebody come back a year later, and that's if they get caught renting without a permit, that's the consequence. We don't want to be the police, but what do we, the rental police, but what do we do in this situation? I'm looking at criteria number 3, compliance with applicable rules, and if they haven't complied with the laws of the county, how can we say that how do we turn a blind eye to criteria number 3?
I think her testimony was that it was, and you may need to ask her to come back up, but I think her testimony was that it was a long-term rental situation.
I thought I understood her to say that she really didn't have all the details, that would be for the owner.
I mean, you can defer it.
Okay.
I'll come to you. Mr. Jordan had a question first.
Well, in fairness to this applicant, our wonderful code enforcement people seem to be everywhere all the time. So is there any record from the county that did occur? Because if there's no record of it that did occur, then what are we operating on?
Did everybody hear what he said?
No.
Would you restate your comment,
Yeah,
please?
like I said, our wonderful code enforcement people seem to be everywhere and catch everything. So was anything brought in regard to this that it did go on? Because if we don't have a record of it, that it went on, then how can we hold that against them?
Did you hear that on the right? Okay. So that's a question for you, Mr. Hare.
Again, I'm not 100% sure they were renting before or not, short-term renting. I will say that and maybe Andrea can speak to this, but we try to, if we are notified that a property is short-term renting without a permit, we try to get them into compliance first before start handing out tickets for short-term rentals. So if this was a case where they were, I would assume that we were trying to get them into compliance, which is what they're doing right now by applying for this permit. And I will say a lot of people I've noticed in the past, once they get their exception from you guys' approval, they think that's just it, but you have to contact back us to get the permit. So I wasn't here in 2022, so I don't know, but that could have been.
So therefore, wouldn't it be only fair to give them the benefit of the doubt? Because she don't know, you don't know, then how can you assume it did happen? You meaning anybody. Wouldn't be fair, would it?
He's putting you on the spot.
That's not fair to put him on the spot.
The system on the spot.
That's
Yeah,
not right.
you're talking to the board, yes. Mr. Sedell, you had a comment.
I thought it'd be pretty easy to check out to see whether they had it advertised for short-term rental on, for example, VRBO. I thought that they could, that it'd be relatively easy to check to see whether or not it was listed on any platform such as VRBO versus it wouldn't be on VRBO if it was a short-term rental. So that ought to be pretty easy to check.
Obviously, we don't have that.
I would think.
Well, not always too. So you can rent out a property for more than 30 days on Airbnb and VRBO too as well. So we don't always, just because it's on Airbnb or VRBO doesn't mean it's always short-term renting.
Have we checked? Or can we check?
We can, but
Before we vote.
I think my colleague brings a very valid point. That should be that might make a difference in how we vote.
You had a question, Mr. Neal?
I just follow up to Mr. Trudeau comment. I mean, I agree with Mr. Trudeau from the standpoint of if somebody is breaking a rule or we're not sure, but that's why there's 9 of us here, and you just vote against the motion. If you feel like these criteria are not going to be met, then for whatever reason, if it's your opinion of, I mean, we're basically a judge up here. We're just 9 judges, so they have to cumulatively take our votes. So if you feel like something is not right, then vote against it. And just like,
But
I mean,
in this case, we're not talking about what might happen. We're talking about what might have happened in the past.
I know, but still, sometimes we're not going to get all the evidence, and we have to make assumptions. And that's why we get our
If we don't get the
testimony.
information, how can we hold it against them?
So my comment is that we get testimony, and then we have to process that testimony on whether we believe it or not. We've had many cases that have been questionable testimony where somebody says one thing, and then we get testimony right behind it, and they say the exact opposite. And we have to figure out which one do we think is going to happen. And the way this criteria reads is, are they going to follow the rules? And if we don't think they're going to follow the rules, you vote against it. And if you think they're going to follow the rules and it qualifies, you vote for it. It's that easy.
Mr. Trudeau, you had another comment, a question?
We don't know what we don't know in this case, and I would suggest that we ought to have, we don't know, I would suggest to my colleague that that reasoning is not as compelling as I would like it to be. It's a situation where we don't know what we don't know, and do we just as a blind leap of faith go ahead and approve something or disapprove it without having more information? I'd like the applicant to be able to provide us with this information before I would vote.
Mr. Trudeau, so hold on, let me say this much. It's the burden for the applicant to present all that information. It would be pertinent if the applicant was here. So they made that risk of having that
Right.
appealed, denied,
Right.
or whatever. They
You-
made that determination by not being here.
Right.
So just like Mr.
Vote the
Neal
way you
said,
feel.
You vote based on the information that you were provided and the facts that were presented.
Move on.
So, and move on. Yeah. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you.
There you go.
All righty. Wait a minute.
We did find last year there was a letter sent that they were renting without a permit. That's how they were notified that they needed to get into compliance and apply for a permit. So that's why we're from the planning department. Yeah. Here, we found it.
But this is the
Yeah,
this is the
do what?
process.
Based on what? Somebody told them when they drove the truck around? Or
That they were operating a short-term rental without a permit. That was advertised. That they were advertising and operating a short-term. Yeah. No.
Okay. We are clear on that. Did everybody hear what Mr. Harris said? Okay. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Harris. You know, it just makes me feel really good. We got a really good staff here that can get information quickly. And thank you for that. I know it was oppressive. All right, Mr. Nelson.
You changing your mind now?
No, I have not changed my mind because I think the outcome, in regardless of how this came in front of us, whether or not they were renting it illegally, whether or not they made an error in judgment regarding what the previous authorization that this board made in 2022, regardless of whether or not they just wanted to rent 4 when they only had approval of 3. The fact of the matter in my mind is that they're coming before us to rectify whatever the situation brought us here. And this is not the first time that we've heard a case where an applicant has come to us that has been renting their home as a short-term rental and is now trying to bring it into compliance. So with that as the background, in the case of BZA 0226000939, Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that we approve this request. It is compatible with the existing uses in the vicinity and will not adversely affect the general welfare or character of the immediate community. In making this determination, we have, from what I recall, 0 letters of opposition. We have 0 neighbors that showed up in opposition to this. And if it has been used as a short-term rental with 0 members of the community opposed to this particular request, I would say that it has not adversely affected their community. And knowing the number of requests that we've received for this particular neighborhood, I think people find it pretty common in that part of James Island. For number 2, that adequate provision is made and or exists for such items as setbacks, buffering to protect adjacent properties from adverse influence of the proposed STRP use, such as noise, traffic, congestion, trash, parking, or similar functions. The applicant's representative made note that they do police the property for trash on a regular basis. And again, we have no complaints from many neighbors that trash or traffic has been an issue in prior use of this particular location. And that 3, it complies with all applicable rules, regulations, laws, and standards of this ordinance, including but not limited to any use conditions, zoning district standards, and applicable STRP site plan review requirements of this ordinance. In meeting this criterion, I would strongly encourage the applicant's representative to make sure she follows through with the next steps and actually obtains the permit from the county and finishes the site plan review process. And that would bring us into compliance with criterion number 3. And in making this motion, I would include all 4 of the staff's special conditions.
Second. Thank you so very much. We have a motion that has been properly moved and second. Any other general discussion? That was done by Mr. Neal. Okay. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye and raising your right hand. Aye, down. Aye. All right. All those opposed? 1. Thank you. It carries. So your application was approved. Within 10 days, you will be getting information from this wonderful staff letting you know the next steps in the process. And you've heard what needs to happen. Very good. Thank you so very much. Mr. Harris, we are back up again with case BZA 0226000941. 940, excuse me. 940. 940. Getting ahead of myself.
All right. The applicants and property owners, Ian and Julie Moran, are requesting a special exception to establish a short-term rental property extended home rental at 3472 Hobson Drive, TMS number 27916000018 on Johns Island in Charleston County. The subject property and adjacent parcels to the east, the south, and the west are located within the low-density residential R4 zoning district, while adjacent parcels to the north are located within the Johns Island Maybake Highway Corridor Overlay Limited Commercial Zoning District. According to Charleston County records, the property contains a single-family residence constructed in 1972. The applicant proposes to utilize the residence as an extended home rental by making 3 bedrooms available for rent, accommodating a maximum of 6 guests, and providing 5 on-site parking spaces in compliance with the Charleston County Zoning and Land Development Regulations Ordinance, ZELDAR. Since the property is not owner-occupied, it does not qualify as a limited home rental, LHR, and it must be reviewed as an extended home rental in accordance with the ZELDAR requirements. Here's a location of the property when looking at the county as a whole. This is the zoning ordinance section pertaining to STRs in the R4 low-density residential zoning district. The 300-foot radius map, the aerials of the property. We posted the property on March 11th of 2026. Here are pictures of the subject property, single-family residence, and its parking. Picture provided by the applicant. Adjacent properties. Hobson Drive. The site plan. Tenant notice. And the plat. Regarding the 3 approval criteria, staff stated that it may meet criteria 1 through 3. The Board of Zoning Appeals may approve with conditions, or deny case based on the BZA's findings of fact, unless additional information is deemed necessary to make an informed decision. In the event that the board decides to approve the application, the board should consider the following conditions recommended by staff. 1, prior to the zoning permit approval, the applicant shall complete the STRP limited site plan review process. 2, the use shall comply with all requirements of Article 6.8. 3, the property shall not be used as a short-term rental for more than 144 days in aggregate during any calendar year. And 4, the property owner shall be responsible for ensuring that tenants comply with the Charleston County noise ordinance. Is there any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Hare? Thank you, sir. Is the applicant present? Very good, sir. Please come forward. Please state your name and address for the record, and please tell us why we should approve your application, sir.
Yes, sir. Ian Mahurin, 1695 Summer Marsh Lane, Guatemala Island.
What was the last name again, please?
Mahurin.
Mahurin. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. So my wife and I are here to request an EHR exemption for the subject property. My wife and I bought this property in the fall of 2023 with the intent of moving into it for a short period of time. During that period of time, we got to know our neighbors and discussed our intentions with the property. So short term, we were looking to renovate, repair the property. The flooring system in the house had rotted out and needed a lot of TLC. It had been neglected for a long time. And we also discussed our long-term plans with the property. Our intention of eventually moving out of it and turning it into a short-term rental. So again, we got to know our neighbors, and they were very appreciative of what we'd done with the property, and have shown that they're supportive of what we intend to do with it in the future. The property in question is primarily a mix of owner-occupied properties and traditional long-term rentals. But there are a handful of short-term rentals in the property. Just I believe in September last year, you guys approved one around the corner. So we believe our proposed use is consistent with the established pattern in the neighborhood. Behind us is a baseball diamond, so I don't think that they will take any issue with what we're doing. We have notified, again, all of the immediate properties of our intention. So in order to mitigate any impact to adjacent properties, we have maintained an existing privacy hedge down one of the property lines. This continues into a 6-foot privacy fence that encircles the entire rear of the property. We replaced the driveway. It's fully paved now. It's been widened, and we've established a parking pad there. It'll accommodate a minimum of 5 vehicles. We do have an overflow parking area behind the gate that's gravelled. We could put more vehicles back there if necessary. We intend to self-manage this property. This is our first STR, but we have experience managing furnished medium-term rentals for traveling professionals. Again, we've established a relationship with our neighbors. I know there's been some concerns about noise. Our neighbors have our phone number. In fact, one of them has been absolutely wonderful in communicating any issues with the property, issues with trash day and things like that. We do have trash service come once a week. In our tenant notice, there is mention that if somebody's staying there on our pickup days, we would ask them to put the cans out if possible. If they're not there during those days, my wife and I manage the property, the grounds keeping on the property. We'll take the cans out on the day of pickup. We have our permanent residence is on Wadmalaw, so we're about 12 minutes away from the property. So if there are any issues, regardless of time of day, we're happy to go up there and address any complaints. We do screen all of our guests that come in through Airbnb. We are limiting this to 6, occupancy of 6. Now, there are only 3 bedrooms. We could raise that, but honestly, we don't really want to. We don't want the house used as a party house. It's just not. It's not fair to our neighbors, and we don't really want the house used in that way to begin with. In fact, we have a strict policy in our Airbnb profile that there are no parties to be held at the property. So in summary, I believe this request is consistent with the character of the neighborhood. We have included meaningful safeguards to protect the adjacent properties, and we believe this meets county requirements. So I respectfully request your approval, and thank you for your time and consideration.
All right, very good. Mr. Neal has a question.
Yeah, just one quick question. I think I heard it in your testimony, but you said you're going to self-manage the property. You're about 12 minutes away, yet you've reached out to your neighbors. Is there a way to put some signage up or something that says who's managing the property, so maybe one of the neighbors that doesn't know you real well or doesn't have your phone number or something like that, or some type of flyer you can pass out?
We could certainly give them a handout. Yes,
something like that is always helpful, especially for new property management groups that are internally done. But yeah, it sounds like everything else, you got it in good order. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Nelson.
And Mr. Mahuron, I just wanted to compliment you, one, on the thoroughness of your presentation. That's well received by this board, and for your drawings. Who did the tenant notice? And these are much better than what we typically see, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
My only other question is, do you actually have longleaf pine in the front yard, or are those loblolly pine? I'm asking this for you, Mr. Foster.
To me, any pine with needles 6 inches or longer, that's what I'm going to call it. I probably am.
It's all good. I appreciate the drawings. They're very thorough. Thank you.
You betcha.
Anyone on my left have a question? Anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Yes, sir, Mr.
I have a
Truesdale.
comment. Thank you. You made an excellent presentation. Your drawings are as good as any that I've seen. My compliment related specifically in this case to your siting of the septic tank and a drain field that is more than adequate to cover any concerns that anyone may have. It's been approved. Your tank's been approved by DHEC.
Yes, sir.
You've got adequate drain field, and your neighbors are going. You've established clearly that your neighbors are going to be protected.
Yes, sir.
And the groundwater and the environment in general. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Any more questions? Thank you so very much for your testimony. Do we have anyone else to speak in favor of this application? Do we have anyone else to speak in favor of this application? The room is getting short. Do we have anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak in opposition? Very good. This case is closed to the public. Board members, do we have any questions for staff or Mr. Hare? Do we have any general comment, discussions? Therefore, I need a motion to either approve or deny this application. Anyone?
I'll make a motion.
Yes, sir, please.
Mr. Chair, it would please me in case BZA 2-26-00940 to make a motion to approve. In this case, the applicant has followed the correct legal process. The applicable law is contained in Section 6.8.2C 1 through 3. All the criteria have clearly been met in this case. This application is to rent for no more than 144 days a year. Jurisdiction is proper. Notice has been given. We have it's compatible, number one, with the existing uses in the vicinity and will not adversely affect the general welfare or character of the immediate community. The property is very well taken care of. We have an applicant that's done a very good job. This area is fenced. It's got all the buffers. It's well maintained. It's got the proper drain field. in a place that makes the most sense, so the environment's protected, the public's protected, the neighbors are protected. It has the requisite number of bedrooms, and they're seeking an application for no more than 6, as I understand it. Short-term rentals, it meets conditions, as I said, number 2, for setbacks and buffering and protect adjacent properties. Number 3, the application complies with all applicable rules, regulations, and laws in this case. So that's my motion.
And the condition?
And this would be subject to the conditions recommended by staff. There are 4 conditions.
Okay. So we heard a second from Mr. Nelson. Any discussion or questions? Comments? Very good. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye and raise your right hand. Aye. Any opposed? So that's unanimous. It carries. Thank you. So okay. So your application has been approved. Within 10 days, you'll be getting information from staff letting you know the next steps in the process. Congratulations and good night. Our next case is case BZA 0226-00941.
The applicant and property owner Ashley Solomon is requesting a special exception to establish a short-term rental property, extended home rental at 22044 Forest Lakes Boulevard, TMS number 354-0200002 in the St. Andrews area of Charleston County. The subject property and adjacent parcels are located within the low-density residential R4 zoning district. According to Charleston County records, the property contains a single-family residence constructed in 1972. The applicant proposes to utilize the residence as an extended home rental by making 4 bedrooms available for rent, accommodating a maximum of 8 guests, and providing 6 on-site parking spaces in compliance with the Charleston County Zoning and Land Development Regulations Ordinance, ZELDAR. Since the property is not owner-occupied, it does not qualify as a limited home rental, and it must be reviewed as an extended home rental in accordance with ZELDAR requirements. This is the location of the property when looking at the county as a whole. This is the zoning ordinance section pertaining to STRs in the R4 low-density residential zoning district. The 300-foot radius map, the aerials of the property. We posted the property on March 11th of 2026. Here is pictures of the single-family residence and its parking, pictures of the adjacent properties, Forest Lakes Boulevard, the site plan, tenant notice, and the plat. Regarding the 3 approval criteria, staff stated that it may meet criteria 1 through 3. We did receive 19 public comments in opposition to this case and 2 public comments in support to this case. The Board of Zoning Appeals may approve with conditions, or deny case based on the BZA's findings of fact unless additional information is deemed necessary to make an informed decision. In the event the board decides to approve the application, the board should consider the following conditions recommended by staff. 1, prior to the zoning permit approval, the applicant shall complete the STRP limited site plan review process. 2, the use shall comply with all requirements of Article 6.8. 3, the property shall not be used as a short-term rental for more than 144 days in aggregate during any calendar year. And 4, the property owner shall be responsible for ensuring that tenants comply with the Charleston County Noise Ordinance. Is there any questions?
Yes, sir. I'll start with Mr. Brown.
I just blanked. I'm so sorry. Are there other Airbnb short-term rentals in the area? How close were they? How many?
I found 1 property within the 300-foot radius, and then within that neighborhood, I didn't find any others other than that one.
Okay. Mr. Neal?
Yeah, he mentioned that there was numerous letters in opposition, and I can't find them on my iPad. So I don't know how to get that. I'd like to be able to see those and prep before going into.
They're downloaded on there, but that's the part you guys were struggling with, the downloads.
Yeah, but you've got me getting their information through the website, so I don't have the.
Yeah, we don't have those on the website.
Okay. He's got them on his. Oh, okay. Okay.
While we're waiting on that, does anybody else have a question?
You want mine back?
Mr. Neal, did you have?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm fine. I'm fine now. I'll be reviewing this and follow up. Thank you.
Does any other board member wish to see the letters in support and opposition? Or can anyone else see them? I can't see them on mine, but does anybody want to see them, need to see them, or hadn't seen them? Okay. Okay. We got one more. Anyone else would like to see them here in front of you now?
Oh, you want this one?
The hard copy.
I read them too, but I
Oh, yeah,
guess
here's-
just to have
You can go. There's the hard copies here.
coming down.
There's one you
We
can.
apologize, ladies and gentlemen. We're having a little technical difficulty, but nothing we can't muster through.
Janice is an IT wizard.
Yes, she is. She's shaking her head. No, I'm not.
People that don't
Ms. Smith wanted that.
Yeah, I got it.
Did anyone else need to see a copy of it before we proceed? Okay. Anybody else? Okay. All right, so at this time we'll ask for the, you're waiting for me, aren't you? Patiently. Please come forward. No. Please come forward. Please state your name and address for the record, and please tell us why we should approve this application for you.
Okay. My name is Ashley Salamone. Address is 2204 Forest Lakes Boulevard, 29414 in the West Ashley area.
You said Forest Lake?
Forest Lakes Boulevard.
Thank you. Please tell us why we should approve your application.
Okay. So my husband and toddler, who's outside, I'm sorry in advance that I had to bring her here with me, but limited childcare down here. We purchased our home almost 3 years ago in this summer. It was our dream home. As you can see on the lake, it provides everything that pretty much anybody could ever want. We purchased it. The homeowner at the time had just had a stroke. She was in her late 70s, asked us for a couple of extra months to stay, move. She had a company come and help her pack all of her things. During that time, my husband and I got pregnant after 8 years of trying and 11 failed fertility treatments with our miracle baby, who is the one that's whining out there because the allergies have been kicking her butt, so I'm sorry for that. God had different plans for us, is how I look at it, and anybody who is a parent knows how difficult that is, especially without any kind of familial help. So all of our family lives up in New York. We made the decision at that time to pause any type of move that we were going to do, coming down to Charleston to basically see how life was going to pan out for us. And we have definitely made the decision that, especially in toddlerhood, and with the hopes of possibly having another one, that we need to stay close to our family to be able to have that support. And while I do have great friends that live down here, it's not the same as having Nana and Nona come over and watch your child for you. So we have this home that we are hoping we can move down to at a later date when we feel that the time is right for our family. In order to do so, we do need to be able to help compensate for some of the mortgage that we have down here because we did have to leave the New York City boroughs with a toddler. So we have had a few long-term rentals in the home, and that is where you guys are seeing a lot of the opposition come from. We had one bad tenant, and by one bad tenant, I mean one bad group of tenants. We kind of ran into some financial hardships and needed to rent it, and we had 5 young boys who could pay the rent, and they did not tell me at the time that they were going to be having work trucks also located at the home. I did not know this until you guys put the sign up, and on our community Facebook page, people were outraged at the fact that I was trying to rent the home out. I had rented it out a couple of times long term. I had an older gentleman who had just had surgery at MUSC. Him and his wife and his daughter came and stayed at the house for 3 months because it is a single-story ranch. So it does provide for the opportunity for people to be able to recover at the home. So we have had a few long-term rentals in the home that have worked out in our favor. This past one did not. And I understand that I probably should have done a better job at vetting a couple of 25-year-old guys and making sure that rules might have been a little bit more firmly set. I've read all of the comments on the BZA website. I've also read a lot of the comments on the Facebook pages, and It makes me sad because we bought the home and loved our community, and it makes me sad to think that our community is so up in arms with us about this that I've made every attempt to address their concerns with a short-term rental plan. So I have a property management company that's local to the area, since we are not, Folly Beach Vacation LLC, that will watch over the home. I have a garbage company called Concierge Co. We will be strictly enforcing a no street parking policy, because I know that that is what upset our neighbors the most. So we will be making sure that nobody is parking on the street. Obviously, if they have some family come over or something for the day, then that's a different story. But in terms of the parking situation, we have ample parking in our home between our garage and our driveway. We have a professional cleaning service lined up to be able to clean after every Airbnb, which we've had for long-term rentals. And should I have any other long-term rentals, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, they'll come once a month. I also have a lawn care service that has already been coming for the duration that we've had the home. They come every other week. During the months of December and January and February, I believe, they only come once a month because the grass isn't growing as much because it's not so hot down here. We also have exterior cameras. So we have a Ring.com at the front door, and we have one in the backyard as well to be able to monitor everything that's going on at the home. Our goal is to be able to also continue to come down here once a quarter. This has been the longest that we haven't been able to come to the house because it was a 7-month rental that we had at the home. So, we like to come down once a quarter and be able to do our own due diligence in maintaining the home, providing, go to Home Goods, buy new towels or sheets or, anything like that that's required. And having a short-term rental will allow us to be able to do that. Long-term rentals, unfortunately, cause a larger gap in when we can come. So I am asking that we are approved to get the extended home rental to be able to do some short-term rentals and still be able to come down and enjoy the city of Charleston that we love so much. That's it.
All right, on time. I tell you, I like that. Okay. Let's see if anyone on my left has a question for you. Yes, sir.
What did you say your current address is?
In Charleston or in New York? In New York. We live in Glen Head in Long Island.
And the address, because you did state this address here in Charleston.
Okay, sorry. 34 Glen Cove Drive in Glen Head, New York.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions on this side? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've read all of the public inputs, and obviously there were a lot of people, it sounds like, in general, upset about your previous tenants. But then there are numerous ones that are just not happy in general about having an Airbnb next door to them. But there was a very nice comment from a neighbor in the neighborhood speaking that you've been forthright in meeting with people, active on the Facebook page, and trying to address the issues. So what I'm really getting to is I applaud you for hiring a management company to be involved and take care of your property, since you are living in New York and have a small child. I congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
But I would just, a little bit of exploration here on, I think if I was voting just for my one vote, I think it's important to not only have that management company involved, but very involved, especially the first 60, 90 days. And there needs to be the ones that coming by once a week at the minimum to make sure they're not parking on the street, to make sure that they're not doing all these things. If not, then you're going to be looking at as a bad applicant that we've just changed one door to another door.
Sure.
So I don't have any need to see the property management contract and what their services that they can provide for you, but I wouldn't do the general standard.
Understood.
I would do the more aggressive, make sure they're coming by, hold them to account because they're going to be charging you for that service. So just explore a little bit or make us feel a little bit better, or me feel a little bit better about the in-depth needs of this management services, since you will be in New York, and that would lessen the impact of these people's letters of concern.
I understand. Thank you for your input.
Okay.
I'm good. Yeah.
Anyone else on my right? Mr. Truslow?
Thank you. Thank you. Made an excellent presentation. We all appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have two questions, and it's always going to be on my checklist.
Okay.
Are you on sewer or are you on septic tank?
We are on sewer.
Okay, that's good because you may not know, but short-term rentals create a terrific strain on the environment. When you have a septic field, it takes longer to recover. You have peak use and on and on.
Understood.
Second question, garage. All right. The way I'm looking at this, you're going to have count the garage for parking. Is it readily available for use, or is it used for storage?
It is absolutely readily available for use. Unfortunately, the previous tenants that we had were storing their work material in there, and I was not aware of that. When I signed the lease with them, they had 5 cars. One was a Jeep Wrangler that was going to go in the garage. The other 4 were going to be in the driveway. I later found out that they had 5 pickups, 2 of which were work trucks, plus a Jeep Wrangler, and I just didn't know, and that's my fault for not knowing.
Okay. And I'm going to guess, because he's very good about my colleague on the far left asked this question. We've got so many complaints in this case. Some, I'm not concerned. Statistics show that people that are in short-term rentals actually take care of, but much better care of property than those who are in a long-term rental situation. It's also, if you get a bad tenant once in a while, or short-term rental, you're better off than having a long-term.
Right. They're in and out. They're not there for 7 months.
365 days a year. Have you reached out to any of these people to assuage any concerns that they have? We've got at least 19 people that have had complaints. Have you? There's Brian Snyder, I see. Robert Stevens made it. Hunter Allen. Have you talked to any of these people?
I tried to basically state my case for them on the original post that went up, that somebody was unkind in their words in the original post, and I tried to explain to them my story and why we were looking to do rentals to begin with. Some people's responses were simply, sorry, but we don't really care. It's going to downgrade our community. I've offered my phone number. I said, please private message me. We'll be in town. I'm happy to have you over for a cup of coffee to talk further. If you have any questions, please direct them. I'm happy to meet you, and nobody did that. A lot of people posted anonymously as well on the Facebook page. Somebody messaged me the day before the guys moved out and said they don't look like they're going anywhere. And I said, we're coming to town tomorrow, so I hope they are. I did offer my phone number if anybody wanted it. I didn't post it publicly on the Facebook page, but I said, please private message me. I'll give you my phone number. And nobody did so.
So you didn't call any of these people? None of these people called you?
I don't have any of their phone numbers,
all right,
unfortunately.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions? I did have a question. What are you doing about noise if there were issues with noise? Did the management company tell you how they would handle noise?
Noise mitigation wasn't something we touched deeply on, because that wasn't one of the things that I don't think anybody in my posts or my complaints commented on noise at all. The only complaint they really had about was the parking. They did say that should there be any complaints, that they could address it in person. So if there were any noise complaints, I could absolutely ask them to put it in my contract that they would report to the residents and address it immediately with the tenants.
Thank you for doing so.
I'm happy to take any suggestions that you guys have for me.
So it's in the criteria that it is addressed if there's ever a problem with noise. So go ahead and get ahead of it.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Mr. Siddall first, then Mr. Brown.
Ms. Solomon, thank you for your testimony. I'm just curious about the medium-term renters that you have that caused all the problems. I realized you were living out of state, and did you have anyone looking over the property? I mean, you seem to have been caught unaware until the placard went up about the short-term rental application, that any of this was annoying the neighbors. I was just curious whether they were there for so many months
7.
and you had no knowledge that they were doing these things that obviously you would have been very unhappy with had you known. So,
correct.
How were you managing that period? I guess is my question.
Sure, that's a great question. I can genuinely say that this past rental has been a complete eye-opener for me. My husband did not want to rent it to them, and we needed the money, and I said, we're going to rent it to them. Moving forward, I would, at a minimum, have the rental company for any mid or long-term rentals. I would have them go by once a month. I would have a cleaning service go by once a month. I've worked with the cleaning service that I have she came to help me do the deep clean on the home when I purchased it. So I've known her now for almost 3 years. And she has said that a lot of people that she works for that have midterm rentals, she goes once a month at a minimum, if not every 2 weeks, to provide cleaning services and also keep an eye on the interior of the property to make sure that everything is being kept upright. And I do have a lot of friends in the area that have offered, hey, if you have it rented, we're happy to drive by for you. And that's also something that the property management company said. They have places in West Ashley, they have places in North Charleston, and I think he said in Somerville as well. So they frequent them when they have long-term rentals. So
Mr. Brown?
Oh,
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Sorry. So if we approve this short-term rental, will you be giving your immediate neighbors the contact information for the management company so that they can contact them directly if there's any problems with your renters?
I can definitely do that. I can even see if he has like some type of a placard or some type of sign that goes in a window that has the name of the company with the phone number, and I can see what type of services they have. I can also write it down and provide it in mailboxes, to everybody on the block, and I'm happy to provide it in the local Facebook page as well for everybody to have that information.
Well, I think that would be a very good idea. That obviously you have some work to do to reestablish yourself in the community, especially if you plan to move down here at some point. You want to create good relationships with that
Absolutely.
neighborhood, obviously. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Mr. Brown?
Just sort of ties on to his a little bit, and maybe I apologize if I missed it in your presentation, but you've heard it before from a few of us, the 4 o'clock in the morning call. Have you had that conversation with your property manager that they would be available for somebody answers the phone 24/7 if there are issues?
I'm sorry. Sorry, I was outside with my daughter during the other one, so I didn't hear that question.
Okay.
The question is if I got a call and my property management got a call at 4 a.m. that they would respond immediately.
Yeah.
I have not had that conversation, but it's absolutely one that I can have. I wasn't thinking about those types of hours, but I can absolutely have those types of conversations of frequent stopping by during rentals, visiting for each short-term rental that gets booked, and being available at all times.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem.
Go ahead, Mr. Truesdale. Thank you.
I had one more item to just, if I could get checked off my list, and that's trash. It was an eye-opener for me to find out that short-term rentals, even though it's 144 days a year, generate far more, 2 to 3 times more trash than somebody that in a residential setting, because there's more, for obvious reasons, more plastic and more takeout food and things like that. And when you have 8 people there, you're going to have more and more of a problem, and often people leave on days other than trash pickup days. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do to ensure that trash isn't spread around the neighborhood or trash cans left out on the street and not taken back? I know where I live, they have people get services to take the trash cans out on the days and bring them back. Are you?
Yes.
I see you smiling. Is that?
Yes. No. I'm smiling because I did reach out to a company already down here. It's called Concierge Co. And they provide a monthly flat fee service where they go out, they take your can to the curb the night before it gets picked up, they come back. I think he said it's after 10 a.m. because sometimes the trash guys are there at 5 and sometimes they're there at 8, so they leave it at about 10 a.m. No later than 10 a.m. is what he told me. They bring the cans back. So he would handle the trash, which goes out every Sunday night, back Monday morning, and then the recycling, which is every other Tuesday night, and comes back Wednesday morning. So,
thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so very much for your testimony. Do we have anyone else to speak in support of this application? Okay. Hello, please state your name and address for the record, and please tell us why we should approve this application.
My name is Chelsea Lynch. I live at 100 Milton Court, Goose Creek, 29445 in South Carolina. I just wanted to offer support to Ashley. I've been friends with her for over 25 years. She is intelligent, a great communicator, a problem solver, and a great friend. I've been helping her deal with this situation for the past few weeks since it's come to her attention that she was not aware of until the complaints started coming in due to the sign being posted on February 26th, I believe. As soon as this came to her attention, I left Goose Creek. I went over to her house in West Ashley to take videos and survey the situation and send it to her. Her neighbors do have her phone number, and if she was contacted about this problem any time before this, I would have been over there as soon as she got contacted to take videos and to just let her know in real time what was going on. But she had no prior knowledge. So I just wanted to say that most of the complaints and letters of opposition fostered against this permit application seem to be in reference to a legal long-term rental that is not exactly relevant in a short-term sense. So I know that Ashley will work diligently to make sure any short-term rentals weave seamlessly into the neighborhood. And knowing her personally and how she dealt with this issue that just arose in the past month, that she will deal with them swiftly and efficiently. So, and she has all the proper professionals behind her now. But even with just having a friend here to go, hey, can you go check out the property? I was willing to do it within like 12 hours I was there. So I just want to say she's on top of things and she'll do whatever necessary to respect the neighborhood.
Very good. I like that. Do we have any questions on my left? Any questions on my right? I will say this. I wish I had about 5 friends like you. I'd be in a better place. Thank you so very much.
Yeah,
for
you're
your
welcome.
testimony.
Thank you for your time.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Anyone else to speak in support? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak in opposition? Very good. Case closed to the public. At this time, do we have any general comments, discussion, questions for staff? I need a motion, please. Mr. Brown?
For BZA case 0226000941, I make a motion that we approve this special exception for short-term rental. It meets all the requirements for, number one, it's compatible with existing uses in the vicinity and will not adversely affect the surrounding community. While I know there was some opposition, I believe she's proven that she's willing to alleviate all those issues, and so I think that one's met there. Adequate provisions have been made or exist in such items. There's plenty of setbacks and buffering. There's enough parking. Trash issues will be dealt with. And there are existing fences and landscaping between the home and the neighborhood to help mitigate any of those issues. And it complies with all applicable rules and regulations and laws for short-term rental properties in the limited site plan review process. And it should meet all of those requirements, and once she gets all the approvals, I do that with all the all 4 of the staff recommendations on conditions.
Very good. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Neal. Any questions? General discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Mr. Chair, I was going to just make a comment to the effect that, so the neighbors there were 19 people, at least 19 people that complained. If there is a problem, there is a requirement to have an annual approval. So if there were a problem, this isn't an indefinite approval forever and ever. So it seems to me that the community will be protected, and if there's a problem, they'll be able to address it at the end of this first year.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. It's approved. Close. So within 10 days, you'll be getting information from our staff, letting you know the next steps in the process. Congratulations and good night. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we will take a 10-minute recess and reconvene at that time, if that's okay.
I'm so sorry I was late. 5-car wreck. So
I was in the same traffic.
You weren't the only one. You weren't the only one. 5 of you. No, when this went on 5 miles an hour, I left it at 10 till 3.
I didn't.
No, did you come over on 526?
Yeah, you coming from Iowa, I'm coming from Mount Pleasant, so I have to pass the exit to get there. So, yeah, I just got a little bit of Well, Carolina's out now, right? Okay, at this time, we will reconvene, and Ms. Working will host this next case for us, case BZA 0226-00942.
Yes. The applicant and property owner, Lisa Pace, is requesting a variance to reduce the required 30-foot rear yard setback by 15 feet, resulting in a 15-foot setback for proposed accessory structures, a shed and a swimming pool, located at 1105 Irving Manigault Road in the east area of Charleston County. The subject property, along with the properties to the north, east, and west, are zoned agricultural residential, AGR. The adjacent property to the south is zoned agricultural preservation, AG10. The proposal includes the following: a 20 by 20 foot shed to be located in the northwest corner of the property, encroaching approximately 15 feet into the required setback, and a 15-foot by 20-foot swimming pool to be situated behind the existing single-family residence near the northeast corner of the property, encroaching approximately 10 feet into the required setback. This is the ordinance requirement for setbacks in the AGR zoning district, the location map, 300-foot radius map, aerial. We posted the property on March 12th, 2026. Photographs of the property, the shed location and pool location, site plan, elevations, plat. Based on the analysis of the approval criteria in section 310.6 of Charleston County ZELDAR, staff finds that the applicant's request may meet all required criteria for granting a variance. The subject property appears to have unique physical characteristics, including an irregular lot configuration, limited usable rear yard area due to drainage features and slope, and the placement of the existing home and septic field, which together may create an unnecessary hardship if the provisions of the ordinance are strictly applied. The requested variance does not authorize a use prohibited and does not extend non-conforming use and does not alter zoning district boundaries. Staff also notes that the applicant has obtained written support from the adjacent neighbor who is most directly affected by the proposed shed location. And we don't have any suggested conditions for this request.
Okay. Mr. Neal?
Yeah, I just have two quick questions. The neighbor that, Mr. Templeton, I believe, that sent a letter in support, can you show us which house that is?
Yeah, it's 1101 adjacent.
So that's the one to the left?
Yes.
And
that's
we
where
don't-
the shed's going on that side.
Right, the shed's going there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the pool's going on the other side. So what is the adjacent neighbor, what's that 003 plat? It looks like it's a large parcel.
Yeah, it is.
Because it would impact those people or whoever. I mean, that's just a huge parcel. Yeah, there you go. We haven't heard anything from them, or
No.
maybe that's a question for the applicant, but I don't think it. And then you mentioned the drainage field, 'cause I'm sure somebody will be asking about that. Where is do we know on the site plan where the drainage field is
Yeah.
from the?
It's the dotted lines here.
Hold on, where? Oh, yeah, okay, I just missed that on my copy. I didn't see it on that. Okay, that's great, thank you.
Anyone else had a question? Mr. Trueslow? You had a question? Yes, sir.
I did. I see it as a positive, but I believe the property behind where the pool is proposed to go is the Francis Marion Forest.
I was going to guess that. I'm not 100% sure.
And they haven't expressed any concern at all for this impacting on them.
Anyone else? Thank you, Ms. Working. Is the applicant present? All righty. Please state your name and address for the record, and please tell us why we should approve your application.
Yeah, Lisa Pace, and I'm at 1105 Irving Manigault, which is the property in question. And as you'll see from the plot, we like to keep things very organized and structured on our home. So having this extra shed will allow us to put our lawnmower in it, our zero-turn lawnmower in it, and cover our boat. So it's a 20 by 20 concrete slab. 9 foot of it, of that will be a building of the shed with a 6x6 roll-up door for the lawnmower, and the other side is a hangover for the boat. So it's nice and organized, tucked in that upper left corner, which is next to Mr. Templeton's property. He also has, alongside that little area that I'm questioning on the other side of his property, he's put up bamboo trees, whatever those are called, which will also kind of block the area as well, too. So it'll be kind of nestled in that one spot there. And the reason we have to do that upper left corner is because the middle of our entire yard is the septic system. They kind of moved it up a little further than they had anticipated when they had built it. And that 30-foot structure comes all the way up to the point of the back rear of my property. So this 30-foot is actually on the side of my property, not the rear of my property. So it comes all the way in the back. And then there's 2 drainage ditches that kind of go this way in my backyard. So the pool in question, as you had mentioned, is going to be a little bit over to, still on that side where the shed is on that rear side of the property. So it won't even encroach upon at all on the other property to the right. And we do back to the Francis Marion. So this just allows us to keep it beautified, keep the neighborhood clean. It allows us to store the things that we have on our property as well, too, and allows us to use the property how we intended it when we purchased it.
Straight and to the point.
Yeah.
Anyone on my left have a question? Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Well, I had one question. First, I wanted to compliment you on your application, and I understand that I like to think I'm a numbers guy.
Yeah.
And I fully understand it and appreciate what you're doing and why, given the unique nature of your property, using a golf term, you got to play them as they lie, especially during Masters Week. The one question I had is I know where the shed's going. I know where the drain field is. One thing I was a little bit concerned, and I know you've got an answer, to leave where you're going to site the shed, you're not going to be driving over the drain field.
No. So if you
you're
look.
just going to be running
parallel to the property line.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Neal?
Yeah, I was just going to applaud the applicant for taking time to get a letter from their direct neighbor, who's probably going to be the most impacted by the shed, and taking time to get that makes it really, really easier to understand the application and why. So I wanted that on record for her. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We also did talk to, just to piggyback on that, all of the neighbors right there within the 4 new houses that were built there. And they're all good for it as well, too. So
They ready to jump in your pool.
exactly. They said when that happens, I'll be there. So they all want to put pools, too. So I'll be the first, I think. So we'll see.
There you go. Are we all good? Questions? Thank you so very much
Thank
for your
you.
testimony. Oh, boy. Do we have anybody else behind there? No? Oh, okay. So we don't have anyone else to speak in opposition? Or anyone to speak in favor, and no one to speak in opposition, right? Okay. Case closed to the public. Board members, any questions, comments, concerns? I need a motion then, please. All right, there, I see your hand.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, in this case ending in the number 942. I make a motion to approve the request for a variance. First of all, it was very well stated. I understood it perfectly. There's a need. The criteria are set forth in section 3.10.61 through 7. All those conditions have clearly and convincingly been made. Maybe it's a lawyer in me, but I always say, talk about jurisdiction and notice that are applicable here. Number one, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the property. That's obvious by the layout and the survey that we've been provided. Number two, these conditions obviously do not generally apply to other properties. This is a unique piece of property that's, I'm going to say, triangular in shape. Number three, because of these conditions, you wouldn't be able to effectively use your property. It's restricted. I understand that a swimming pool, not having a swimming pool is not a hardship, but you've made a very good case here. Number four, The authorization of a variance will not be to the detriment of the adjacent property. In fact, you have their support. And I'm going fast because this is the last case. Number 5, we can't grant a variance. The effect which would be to allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted. It's permitted in this case, and we have that right of discretion, if you will. Number 6, the need for the variance is not a result of the applicant's own actions. Ken, using the golf term, you play them as they lie. This is what the property, this is what exists. This is where the drain field went. It made perfectly good sense, and you've made a compelling cause. Number 7, granting the variance does not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan or the purposes. In fact, I don't find it would impact adversely in any way. So that's my motion. There is a recommendation, I think, of staff that...
There's none.
Pardon me?
There are none.
There are none. I was looking at the staff recommendation, but there are none. So that's my motion.
Okay. All right, very good. We have a motion that's been properly moved in second. Any general discussion or question? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye and raising your right hand. Aye, 1, 2. Any opposed? There is none. It is unanimous. Congratulations. Within 10 days, our staff will send you information letting you know the next steps in the process. Thank you for coming, and have a good night. And enjoy your pool. I think your neighbors will too. Okay, Ms. Workin, how are we going to do this next 3?
Together.
All together. There we go.
Okay.
So, cases BZA 02, 26, 994, 940. What's it mean? 944, 945, and 946.
The applicant, Eric Latson of EarthSource Engineering, along with the property owner, Sir Haj Patel of West Ashley Hotel, Inc., has submitted 3 variance requests associated with a proposed hotel development. The subject properties are identified as 351-13-00077 and 351-13-00078, located at 647 and 711 Orleans Road in the St. Andrews area of Charleston County. Both properties, as well as the adjacent parcel to the north, are located within the DuPont-Wapu Area Overlay Community Commercial CC zoning district. Properties to the east, south, and west lie within the jurisdiction of City of Charleston. This is the overlay map, the location map, 300-foot radius, aerial. Okay. The applicant is requesting the following variances. BZA 02-2600-944 to allow a proposed 6-story hotel on a parcel fronting Orleans Road, exceeding the maximum permitted building height of 3 stories pursuant to the DuPont-Wapu Area Overlay Zoning District Design Standards. And this is the zoning relevant to that section. We posted the property on March 12th, 2026. A couple photographs of the subject property in Orleans Road. This was the exhibit I was referring to that shows the hotels. We can go back to that later. And then the 2 elevations that were submitted for this request. Variance number 2, ending in 00945, is to allow alterations to drainage conditions affecting grand trees located in tree wells. And this is the zoning ordinance section pertaining to that request. Again, we posted on March 12th. This is the first tree, the 41-inch DBH Southern Red Oak, and it's a grade A. 64-inch DBH Live Oak, grade A. 61-inch DBH Live Oak, grade B. 35-inch Live Oak, grade C. And 43-inch Live Oak, or sorry, Southern Red Oak, grade A. This is the exhibit for the drainage and the trees, and a tree well staging. Okay, let's see. The final request, ending in 00946, is a request to reduce the required parking from 115 spaces to 98 spaces. The subject property is currently in the site plan review process for this proposed hotel. And this is the zoning requirements for parking. The exhibit, so in red, you could see where the parking spaces are being eliminated to help further protect the trees. And the plat, and then the proposed plat. Based on the analysis of the 7 criteria, section 310.6, staff found that it may meet criteria 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7, and that it meets criteria 5. The board may approve of conditions, or deny the requests based on the BZA's findings of fact unless additional information is deemed necessary to make an informed decision. In the event the board decides to approve the application, staff recommends the following conditions. 1, prior to zoning permit approval, the applicant shall complete the site plan review process. 2, tree barricades constructed of chain link fencing shall be installed around all protected trees within 40 feet of disturbance prior to any construction, pursuant to section 924 of the county zoning ordinance. 3, the applicant shall retain a certified arborist to monitor and treat all grand trees within 40 feet of disturbance through the duration of construction. The applicant shall provide a copy of the tree preservation plan to zoning staff for review and approval prior to zoning permit approval for the construction. And 4, if any grand trees die within 3 years from the date construction begins, the applicant shall mitigate the DBH of the tree or trees by either A, submitting a mitigation plan for review and approval indicating the installation of canopy trees no smaller than 2.5 inches in caliber, equaling inch per inch replacement. B, by depositing funds into the Charleston County Tree Fund as described in section 926 of the ordinance, or C, a combination of both A and B. The allotted mitigation shall be in place prior to the removal of the tree or trees. Any questions?
Yes, sir, Mr. Neal.
And we're going to take these all together, right? So I can
Yes.
mix. All right. So I'll try to keep them easy. So I'm starting with the first one about the height, the six-story hotel. So the current is 3 is what they're limited to. So they're asking for additional 3 is what the variance is for, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that's what's driving a lot of the stuff, because I would imagine tying in the parking spaces. How are the parking spaces determined? Is it square footage, or is it number of rooms, or what's driving that factor?
I have that somewhere. Hold on a second. It's 1 per room plus spaces for restaurants, bars, and offices.
Okay, so that's something I'm sure the applicant can.
But 1 space per room.
Yeah, 1 space per room.
Yeah, and then if there's any restaurants or bars, those are
Okay.
also.
And then the tree wells and the drainage conditions and stuff. Could you go to the map that shows, I saw the chart that said how much the disturbance was going to be, that looked like it was going from 10% to about 25% on average. But which trees are the A, B, the 1, 2, 3, and 4? I couldn't see it on my map in detail unless I was missing. I saw the grade of them, but does it say tree 1? Okay, there it is, tree 1 and 2.
Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it a little bit better
I can
now.
really see it on here.
I didn't. So I was trying to understand where the parking was going away, why we couldn't do additional parking. Is it because they'd have to come and ask for another tree to come down, or they just don't have enough room on the site for everything? I mean,
Yeah, so if you look at the red, those were the spots that they're eliminating that are required. And Kyle maybe could speak to it more, but they're, encroaching into the tree.
It looks like they're just trying to do too much on this spot. I mean, instead of, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I mean, it just looks like there's an awful lot here, and if they didn't have as big of a hotel, they wouldn't have to have as many spaces, which means they wouldn't have to have the variance. Is that
For
correct?
parking. Right.
All right, well, I'll save the rest of my questions for the applicant then.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Anyone else on my? Yes, sir. Mr. Siddell.
My question really has to do with height requirements. How broad is that regulation only 3 stories. Does that cover just this immediate area, or is it more general?
Yeah, so it's
in the
specifically for the area fronting Orleans. You did hear, like a couple years ago, a variance on Savannah Highway, but they have different, they can go higher. But you
Right.
did hear a variance for a height.
So there's
for
nothing in this area within this restricted zone that is more than 3 stories at the moment.
Next
Is that
door.
correct?
Next door,
Next door, 4.
kind of behind it. But there's also the 3-story, I'm sorry, I've interrupted. There's also there's also a 2-story real estate building that's almost across the street from it, I believe.
Yep.
You can see it in one of the pictures. So,
Okay,
Yeah, a 2-story hotel and a 3-story, or 4-story, sorry.
oh, I see. So there, exceptions have already been made on this height requirement in this immediate area.
That hotel was done before the ordinance was changed.
yeah, it was built before.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Good question, good observation. Anyone else on my right? On my left? That's for all 3 now.
He's buying the properties.
Questions about all 3? All right. Thank you, Ms. Working. Let's see. Eric? Mr. Eric. Wait a minute. Let me make sure I got the last name right. Latson. I apologize, Mr. Latson.
Good evening.
Yes, sir, Mr. Latson. Go ahead. Please state your name and address for the record, and please tell us why we should approve all 3. And so, Mr. Latson, what we're going to do, what I'd like to do, is that you really have the room all to yourself.
Okay.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but
I don't know either.
but we're going to work.
Okay.
We want to try to address all 3 at this time, so we're going to give you as much time as you need to answer the parade of questions that might be coming towards you, okay?
Understood, yes, sir.
All right. Fire for effect.
Thank you. My name, for the record, my name is Eric Latson with Earth Source Engineering. That is 496 Ramson Court in Mount Pleasant. I'm here representing the owner, applicant, and the architect as well, to the best of my ability. I'm sorry. Can everyone hear me better here this time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Do I need to say my name again?
No, sir. We heard
Okay.
you, Mr. Latson.
Okay. I think I'll start by briefly going into a little bit of the history of the project. This property was previously proposed as a hotel earlier around 2016, I believe. At the time, the doo-wop overlay ordinance did not exist yet. It was previously approved at that time and permitted as maybe a 4 or 5 story hotel at the time. I'm sorry.
Just a little louder.
A little bit louder. Okay. It was previously permitted in 2016. I believe it was a 5 story hotel at the time. Before the restriction took place, due to economical reasons, the owner didn't build at the time, and was finally trying to come back to build now. But at this time, the ordinance did change, so we went back through the site plan review process, not just in overlay standards, but also the stormwater requirements did also get a little bit more strict as well. So we did have some more stringent constraints there. So we came back. We've been working back and forth with staff for a number of years to try and get this site plan dialed in to a point that is as buildable and also as conservative as we could. I think Jenny might have touched on some of the circumstances that are pertaining to this property. We do have a number of grand trees on site, as well as an existing ditch that bisects the center of the property, which does present some constraints for development in the horizontal manner. So as far as development goes for structures, the client has had to go as vertical as they can to also meet the standards placed before them by the hotel franchises.
So you're too close to the mic.
I'm too close to the mic. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was trying to get closer.
There's a magic zone.
There's a magic zone here. Okay. Sorry. Thank you. We did try to work with staff to try to overcome some of the constraints on site, the grand trees, plus the existing ditch going through the center, while also trying to overcome the design constraints for stormwater, having to fill and then also reroute that ditch. So the ditch is filled in, but we're actually now proposing a box culvert that runs down the drive aisle between those tree wells and under the parking lot to the existing ditch that's between our parking lot and the Piggly Wiggly to the left. I want to say, I don't know which. Jenny, do you mind going back to the colored exhibit? Yeah, that one. So that's, I think this exhibit here probably best illustrates how much development we're trying to propose as opposed to how much green space we're trying to preserve. That 61 or 62 live oak in the center, that's been the main priority. They've all been a decent priority, but that one's, when we were coordinating with staff, that was the one of the most priority to make sure that we weren't impacting that one. I think I might just start with the. Can you go back to the elevations, please? And if you don't mind, I would like to pass out the other elevation exhibits I have that actually highlight the height of the building as well. Thank you. Appreciate it. Those elevations that you see on the screen kind of best show the color and material, but the ones that are being passed out now will also highlight the comparison between the neighboring hotels and also presenting a 3D rendering of what the site may look like from street view. The first one, I think it's the first one that you're getting now, is the exhibit with the height differences between the two hotels. You'll see on that exhibit that the proposed height for the current courtyard is 73 foot 3 inches. The town place that is 4-story just above us is 47, and the town and country inn and suites is 2-story, but including its gable, mostly gable, but also in some areas hip roofing. That one is about 30 feet in height. I think that one will best illustrate our height compared to theirs. I know that was a little bit of just for context about what we're proposing in height versus what our neighbors are having. More specifically, the ones that are the same in nature. I don't know if it'll be best if maybe I stop here, in case there's any questions for this one before I move on to some of the other ones.
No, let's talk about. I think we can handle it. We've done that before.
Okay.
Yeah, drive on.
No problem.
So you addressed the height.
Yes, sir.
So and you touched a little bit on the trees and why.
Yeah. So I'll touch back on the trees some more.
So let's talk about that big one there in the middle.
The big one in the middle. That's tree number 2. That one is. Oh, I also want to talk about 3 and 4, but I can start with 2. I will say what 2, 3, and 4 for the trees that are in the tree wells. What they have in common is what our request here was to. The official statement is for the drainage inundations to the tree well areas, the grand trees in the tree well areas. The thing that we wanted to point out was that those trees already experience drainage impacts because of the ditch that runs in between them. The water staging, especially during higher storm events, do certain levels to which that those trees do experience. I wouldn't say certain staging up to a certain level above their root zones. I think the exhibit 4, Jenny, if you don't mind going to that one. That's the scale. Yeah, that one. That's the section view of our pre versus post staging on site. We did generate this section view grid, working very closely with drainage stormwater staff. The center staging in the true color blue, that shows what the existing ditch staging is during each of the storm events. But then I separated what we were showing in post. To the left for tree well 1, that's for trees 3 and 4. Those are off to the left in true color red. And off to the right for the big boy tree in tree well 2, that's in true color pink. Hopefully those colors are about the same on your screen. But we do show that the staging that is being experienced by those trees in the post-development staging is less than what is occurring in pre. So for that sake, we were saying that our proposed improvements were reducing any drainage impacts that those trees were experiencing. So the request here is to not only continue drainage impacts, but we're also presenting that we are reducing drainage impacts that those trees are experiencing. I think that will then, we can then caveat to the other color exhibit, the one showing the additional encroachment in red, Jenny. So our proposed development was reducing not only drainage impacts, but we were staying under that 35% encroachment for the grand trees. Again, because the industry standards for these hotels require X number of spaces per rooms, we were required by the standard to have 1 per room, which would have been, I believe, 115 spaces. But doing so would further encroach into trees just to produce that accommodation to meet that need. So yes, this particular one is tied to the amount of rooms in the building, but there really isn't anything that, from my position, to change that. That's from their hotel industry standard. When Courtyard says that they need 115 spaces for 115 rooms for their market, we try to do that as best as we can, but it's not something that we could do here without any further impacts.
Nice little spot to be in. Okay. So you feel confident about your statement for the parking, justifying it because of the trees?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see if anyone else. You didn't give me a chance to look that way. All right, Mr. Neal. Go. Yeah, I'm looking over here first all the time. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, I mean, I'm going to take these one at a time, but it's really all boils down to the size of the hotel. And you gave us this nice exhibit here showing us the rendering and stuff, but I think in my mind, and I'm speaking just for myself here, I mean, you're asking us for a variance for a 73-foot tall hotel when your neighbor is only 47 feet and the other neighbor is less than that. Now, whenever people bought the property and whatever the new overlay district requirements came in play, your client is buying this property, so they got to adhere to the rules. So for a variance, as you well know, we've got to meet the test for the variance, and everything's driving the tree wells, the parking spaces, because you're asking for a 6-floor hotel. So my first question is, how many rooms are on a floor?
Mr. Latson, how many rooms are on each floor?
You can guess if you don't know the exact number.
Roughly, I would say roughly 20. I can't
Okay, so let's just call it 20, and we know that that's not accurate, not not in stone. So that's an extra 60 rooms. If you didn't have the 60 rooms, let's call it 15 for easier math, 15 a floor. That would be 45 spaces that you would have less to have. That would impact. So you wouldn't need the parking variance, and you probably could have a little bit more room for the parking that wouldn't have to go into the tree wells. So this deal is all based on because you want 6 floors. So my question to you is, how are we supposed to meet the variance test because you want 6 floors? And it's got to be not the result, the variance test that I have a problem with right now is the need for the variance is not the result of the applicant's own actions, number 6. If you did 3 floors instead of 6, you'd probably meet it. Now, if you could come back with some type of rendering says we can't do 3 floors because of this and we got to have it, but by your own testimony, it sounded like, because that's what Courtyard wants. They have to have 6 floors to have this many rooms. So I'm trying to help you, but I don't understand. If we did 3 floors here, we'd be fine, and you wouldn't need any of the variances.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I would say that Courtyard is adamant that they needed 115 rooms. How that's configured is kind of up to us plus working with staff. But since we are horizontally constrained, we don't have really a choice but to go vertical with the structure. If we could do 115 rooms in a more horizontal layout and lower stories, I think that's something we would have tried to approach.
If I may follow up, then you're saying Courtyard, but Courtyard's not the only hotel company. This is just the one your client's working with. So there are other remnants for the possibilities for the property. I think we're trying to say, well, we're going to have a Courtyard here. We're going to have it. We're going to have 115 rooms. We're going to have 6 floors. So to do that, we have to have all these variances. And I think you're putting the cart before the horse. There's other things that can happen to this property. Your neighbors only got 47 feet, whether it was before the rules or not. I think we're having all these variances applied because of you're set in stone that or your client is set in stone that he's got to have 115 rooms, and the only way to do it is 6 floors. So I don't see how it meets the variance test on the first one. And if it doesn't meet it on the first one, then it's not going to meet on you don't need the other 2. So I just think that there's got to be another way to develop this property into a hotel use, but not ask for all these variances or find a way. I applaud you for not chopping down trees, but I mean, 6 stories that's almost, it's 50% higher than the building next door. So I have problems with it. I'm good, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
I got another question here right to my side, then I'll come back to you, Mr. Brown. Oh, okay.
Mr. Ladson, thank you for coming out tonight. One question. I think that you testified that the gentleman or the group that's developing this property originally purchased it in 2016 before the overlay was created. Is that correct?
A little bit earlier than that. I think that project might have started 2013, 2014, but I want to say it was permitted by 2016.
And so the owner of this property that's now pursuing this development is the same owner that was trying to pursue it before creation of the overlay.
That's correct.
And the property to the north, the Town Suites, and is that owned by the same group as well?
Yes, I do. Yes, it is.
Okay, and so in a sense, what they're trying to pursue is what they were originally trying to build 13 years ago, or something close to it.
Something close to it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Brown.
I mean, that's partly where I was getting is like when they owned it before, I guess my understanding, I don't remember what the zoning was there, but I'm pretty sure it didn't allow 6 stories then. So I'm curious as to what the thought is of if it didn't meet it, the hotel operator's requirements, then how is it a hardship now, I guess is what I'm looking for.
The only one that I think would be applicable then is in terms of stormwater requirements. The impervious acreage, the building did take up a larger footprint, so the impervious acreage was larger. But with the newer requirements for stormwater, we had to reduce our impervious acreage across the site. So I would say that would be one of the differences that we're besides just the overlay district standard for the height, also dealing with the impervious acreage coverage on the site as well.
Yes, go ahead.
So for that, what you're saying is that the taller, narrower building, plus the fewer parking spaces, has less impervious surface than having to spread the building out further, correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Any more questions on my left?
May I follow up with a question?
Yes, sir.
Have you looked at any other renderings outside of 6 stories? I mean, is there another, did you look at 4 stories? Did you look at a different layout? Is this the only layout you could come up with to make it? I'm trying to, everything's driving because of you're having to go 6 stories is causing the problems. Did you look at any other renderings, any other options, and were there reasons why we didn't go that way, or?
There was earlier on some preliminary TRC meetings that included the client and my boss as well as Sally Brooks and I believe Joel Evans. So early on, we got feedback that we needed to stay as far away from that tree number 2 in the center as possible. So that kind of led us into going from what was previously an L-shaped building from 2016 to this rectangular 6-story that we have now.
I'm good, Mr.
I have a question. This outdoor deck that's wooded.
Yes, sir.
Just like what Mr. Neal said, could that be a part of the hotel as well, making it an L-shaped hotel and using some of that space? You would still be outside of the buffer area of that tree number, tree number 2. Right?
The difference there is if we did an L-shaped building, where you see outdoor decking, that would be counted as impervious area. Whereas the outdoor decking, because we're proposing it's wood, it's being allowed to be modeled as pervious. So you have infiltration through the decking into the ground underneath, whereas you wouldn't have that if you had a larger L-shaped footprint with the building.
So then it would be just a big drainage issue is what you would have. Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
What kind of, are y'all doing any storm retention on the site?
Yes, sir. It doesn't show up very well on this page here, but I do have printed civil drawings that you can probably see it a little bit better if you don't mind. I think this page, if you don't mind passing this out, I'll just take this out.
Is there a pond somewhere?
You can see it on. You can see it on both sides. It's a C200 and a C300. On those pages, you'll be able to see the box culvert that runs down the drive aisle, and on either side of the box culvert, there are one. So there's 2, one on each side, an underground drainage system to handle storm retention on site.
How many gallons does that hold? How many gallons of water would that hold?
Gallons, I'm not sure.
Liters,
we were
whatever.
doing measurements in cubic feet.
Okay, well, feet, that'll be fine, however. Can I see it, please? Sorry. You whipped past me faster than that. Thank you.
See what's happening here is underground, underneath the parking lot. So that's another way they're saving space. and
Correct.
increasing.
Yeah, that's smart. Don't worry about answering that question.
Okay.
I can kind of get a gist of it.
And
Thank you.
still
Yes, sir,
asking
Mr. Brown.
questions. I'm also looking at these renderings, and in particular the one of the overall building, and I noticed at the top floor, and also looking at the elevations in here, the top floor is taller than the others. I mean, I can understand maybe some reasons for that, but when going for a height variance, I would think you would want to limit the height as much as possible. Has there been any discussions on
Limiting some of maybe the parapet heights or
parapet heights, I see these windows are taller on, oh, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the sixth floor is all double height from all the other floors, at least as far as the windows go. I don't know what's happening inside the building, but.
I don't know if the architect got that far as to reducing the height of each story, only that they were trying to get 6. I think there is room to reduce height if that's kind of what we're trying to speak on there.
Let me ask a question here, because I think we need to go here. Why isn't the owner here?
The owner is from out of state. They just couldn't make it to this.
So it wasn't important enough to him. That's what I'm going to say.
So
now, don't answer that. Don't answer that. That's my thought. I was thinking out loud. I apologize.
No, you're okay.
Okay. And what position do you hold there with the firm?
I'm one of the project engineers at
Earth Source.
Earth Source. So you're an architect?
Civil engineer.
Civil, okay. And they sent the brains. Okay, great. It looks like you're getting a little bit of, I'm not going to offer that. It looks like you're getting some resistance that might not work well for you. Is there anything that you can say here that can kind of push this your way? Because it looks like you're falling short on those extra 3 stories. Because I think you guys have done an honorable job.
Mr. Chair, you're only listening to maybe a handful of people that are actually speaking tonight and asking questions, so you don't know that for sure.
Yep, I don't.
That's true.
I don't. You're right. Because I'm thinking they've done a great job here with the drainage. But like I said, I digress. Any questions over here on my left? What about here? You?
Well, I would say I'd commend you. So my colleague, Mr. Neal, sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't.
True.
He characterized this as the need for 6 stories, 115 rooms as creating a problem. I actually see going vertical and narrower as creating a solution to avoid some other impacts that we wouldn't want to otherwise occur. So I commend y'all for the work that's been done so far with staff and everyone else to get to the point for building something for a property a guy's owned for 15 years that the rules have changed around them. So I would be in support at the end of this particular hearing.
I didn't say I wasn't going to be in support.
I just have one more follow-up if I have.
Go ahead.
I wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. Has there been any exploration of any other hotel property other than the Marriott Courtyard, which has obviously a strict requirement of 115? Has there been an option of looking at, because I'm looking at, my first question was, are there any other layouts that you looked at that we could figure out whether it's an L shape or however you could get it so you wouldn't have to have all the variances? My second question, follow-up now is there any other way you can do not a Marriott Courtyard that doesn't have to have 115 rooms? Maybe they only have to have 98 rooms where you wouldn't have to need all these variants. I'm just trying to see, did you explore any of these other options, or is it just this is what we want and this is why we have to have these variances?
The only options that were explored and later dismissed were the L-shaped versus rectangular-shaped building. We knew that the L-shaped would produce too much of impervious coverage for the site, for the drainage system to handle. This rectangular shape was the only thing that we were able to produce that, one, our underground detention systems could contain while also not back charging into the Grand Tree wells, or not causing back charge. They are separate entities, but they all do tie into the box culvert. So we wanted to make sure there wasn't any type of back charge into the box culvert that would later produce a chain reaction to the Grand Trees. So rectangular shape was kind of what we're stuck with. To my knowledge, the client did not reach out to any other hotel entities that may or may not have had a lower required room count. So I couldn't speak to that. I could only speak to any of my experience of other hotels in other areas.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any more questions on my right? Yeah. I'm exhausted.
It's not 10 o'clock on that.
Absolutely. I can't think of another question to ask you. And we don't have anybody else in this auditorium.
I would just add that I looked up, they purchased the property September 30th, 2015, and the change to the overlay was November 1st, 2016. So about a year later.
So how did it change it?
Well, the overlay requirements.
Oh, okay.
For the,
What was the allowed height prior to the overlay?
so I was looking at the CC, used to not have a height limit, but it does now. I had that up. Give me a second. Sorry. CC. In the urban suburban area, 55 feet, 3.5 stories for CC.
Yeah, they bought it then, knowing that, at least that requirement. Okay.
But I think as the
2017.
applicant testified, there
Yeah,
was
that
also
was a-
different
yeah.
stormwater requirements present at that
Yeah,
time.
I understand
as well.
that,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah, that was a requirement that was added because CC used to not have a height limit at all. But it was added in 2017. So we are constantly amending this ordinance, trying to make things better. Hopefully.
Mr. Sadell has a question.
You have a question, Mr. Saddle?
I actually have a question for, I guess, staff. Can I do that?
Well,
Not for that.
let's,
I just wanted to clarify. There was no height requirement at all, originally.
In CC, there was not.
Okay, and then it went to 55, is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay,
And
so
3.5
that was like just the
stories.
one jump there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Wait.
thank you.
Okay, now I got a clarification then. Sorry, I just misunderstood. There
so
was
wait,
no
we
requirement
asking
at one
questions of
point
the
in
staff.
time.
Well, let's go ahead.
Yes, previously in CC, there wasn't a height requirement.
When the property was purchased.
Right, it looks like it was changed in 2017, so that would have been,
Okay, so
Again,
they,
a year after.
So they did buy it with no height restriction at the time. Then.
Right.
Okay. All right, that's different than what I just heard. Thank you.
Well, that does shed some light on it. That's good. Okay. I feel good. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Okay, you can just have a seat for a moment. There is nobody else in this room, so we won't say that anyone else support or in opposition. So we just have staff. So this case is closed to the public. Board members, we've asked a lot of questions of staff. And does anyone else have any more questions of staff? Mr. Neal is nodding his head. So, and you're right after, sir.
So my question is just, why was there a height requirement set in 2017 of 3 stories or 3.5 stories? I mean, they didn't just pull this out of the air. They set a reason why you want height requirements in this zoning area, so, or overlay district. So if there wasn't a need for height requirements, they wouldn't have put them in there. So I'm trying to understand why they chose 3 stories or 3.5 stories.
no. Yeah, we were just talking about, so one of the buildings in West Ashley that we got a lot of complaints about is still there. Of course, it's the storage unit that's kind of near like Avondale, but on.
Yeah, on
you know what I'm- yeah.
61.
So that's about the time that these changes were made.
Okay. And that storage unit is 5 stories or something like that?
It's up there, yeah. And also the medical building that they're redoing is another one we approved under the old ordinance.
Okay, so we don't, is the height requirement stories or is it how many feet?
It's both. It's 3.5 stories, 55 feet.
55. So it's maxed at 55 and this application is for 73 or 74, something like that? Okay, thank you.
73.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Sadal, you got a question, sir?
My question was similar, really. I understand why critical lines move, and I understand those kind of changes. But height requirements, seems like that was a decision made by planning that they didn't want buildings any higher than this. And that's very common in cities around the country for various reasons. So while I understand that the property was purchased prior to that coming in place, there must be a lot of property that was purchased prior to these height requirements, and if we relaxed it on anything that comes before us that was purchased before that, it would seem that that would kind of negate whatever the purpose was in putting height requirements in place. So that's just my comment.
So we're in discussion mode. Mr. Jordan, and then I'll come to Ms. Smith, if that's okay.
I just want to paraphrase what my friend on the end said about a previous case. We can't judge on what might have been or who have been in the past. None of us were there. We got to go by what we have in front of us and what's here. So I think that's a similar situation as you presented earlier on another issue. And I guess you notice I ain't said much about no trees tonight on this one, and I could, but the reason why I haven't is because the impression I get is the uniqueness of this case is that they really have tried, at least made a sincere effort, I think, to work with the system and also to make something that's presentable that would be acceptable to the community. So that's why you haven't heard me say anything about trees in case on this case, in case you're wondering.
Ms. Smith?
I just like that we preserve so many trees and we have so much open green space on the lot. And it is a little bit higher, but I don't think it's that high. And it's a trade-off, right? Do you want to pave the whole lot and have it a little bit shorter, or do you want it a little taller with the green space? I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. Anyone else over here like to make a comment? I will. I like what Ms. Smith said. I kind of really agree exactly, because they did make a big effort to preserve those, especially that tree number 2 in the middle. That could be a beautiful focal point there on that property, I believe. It's my thought. And anything that they can do to preserve a tree that old with that type of character, I think it would be an honorable thing to do. I do understand the plight they're having with the height, but I think it's a kind of trade-off. Anybody else want to make a comment? Discussion.
I'll just make one more comment. I certainly commend saving as many trees and managing stormwater the best that we can, and maintaining as much natural green space as we can. My only concern is the height, and not in a way of necessarily the number of rooms and that kind of thing. I feel like this design is not really making any attempts to lower its stature to better fit in the neighborhood. I'm sort of on the other end of Sam Rittenberg, but I do come down here quite often, and I know the area well enough to know that this is going to be a huge building in the area. There's nothing comparable. And I don't know that it's, the height restrictions and planning are placed for what's appropriate. And if the architect had been here or the owner had been here to talk through some of the design decisions that play into the massing of this building, but it is a flat 73-foot-3 tall box that is right there on the street. It's not even set back. If it was set more in the middle, forgetting about the tree for a minute, if it was set more in the middle, it might not be as much of an impact. But in this case, it's right up on the street. It's
15 feet.
It's really tall, really flat. And it's, again, I don't know that it's the character and the height that is intended for zoning. And like I said, I'd feel a lot better if they had made some attempts to reduce the height. And I'm just going by a rendering. I'm going by, what they gave us to look at in these elevations. And that upper floor appears to be way taller than the other floors. And I just, like I said, it's just a comment on height in this case. I don't think enough attention was paid to, let's do what we can to reduce it. We need the height, whatever. I appreciate that, but it can be reduced. I'm familiar with those kinds of things, of how to make it appear shorter than maybe it is, but I don't see that here.
Mr.
One last follow-up. The Town Place Suites is 47 feet tall, and in this same corridor months ago, and I'm not comparing applications, I'm just making a point that when that application came through, there was a team here, there was the owner there telling us that property was going to be a $100 million property and what we needed to do and how he was passionate about that property. This one is now going to be 26 feet higher than next door and 18 feet higher than the established guidelines on the height. The rest of the stuff, I agree, the green space, but it doesn't have to be a courtyard. It could be some other project there. It could be some other hotel. I just think they're putting too much into this property to get it out. And I mean, it's always a mass sum game of how much, they paid for the property and what they got to get their return. But to use a variance to go over the height requirement that's been established for how many ever years, it won't pass my test, so I'll be voting no against it. But I perfectly understand everybody else's opinions and right to vote. Thank you.
Okay, I got a question in my ear, or comment in my ear. Let's get it out.
Since we're providing comments before we get to actual calling for a motion, I would add that if you read through staff's recommendations, I mean, number one, they don't even say that for any of the criterion that it may not meet. They certainly don't use the phrase does not meet the criteria. In fact, it's either may meet or does meet for all of the criterion, according to our staff that have worked with the applicant on this project now for many years. We're hearing this for the first time tonight, maybe having done some prep coming into it, but we haven't been sitting in the rooms going through the process of negotiating, how big of a building you could build on this site, the concessions that may or may not have been made by the applicant. I think it would have been helpful. I fully agree that had the whole team been here to answer a lot of these questions. But I do think we need to step back and realize that we are not part of the day-to-day process that even gets it to this point. And sometimes we do have to recognize that staff does a fantastic job of trying to drive these projects along. But that's my comment.
I had a question about process. But first, I certainly don't want to rush into making a decision if we don't have to, if we needed more information. But if we were not to approve this particular application, would the applicant be prohibited? Would he have to wait a year before he came back, or could he come up with another proposal next month?
Different design.
Mr. Hughes, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I mean, he could come back. He could come back before a year, provided it's a different application.
Different application. That's what I thought. Is there any? I don't know if they've gotten any answers. Is there some rush or emergency where we need to make a decision right now?
I mean, the applicant is before the board. I mean,
pardon me?
The applicant is before the board.
I understand.
Mr. Jordan?
Wonderful Vice Chairman really said what I was going to say. But I would like to add to what he said. I, too, think that the applicant should have been there. And they should have provided more information. But since we're dealing with a lot of what-ifs tonight, as far as we know, maybe that building was intended to be even bigger. And they've lowered it down to try to meet the standard. We don't know. I'm not saying they did, but we're dealing with what-ifs tonight. So, once again, I say give them the benefit of the doubt. But the owner should have been here. He could answer that question. You're right about that.
Was there anyone else that wanted to say anything? Need to say this general discussion we're having? Mr. Brown?
I don't know that I'm prepared to propose this, but I'm just asking, do we have since they're asking for a variance on the height limit, do we have any recourse to reduce that amount? Give them some, but not all of it?
So you had the purview to do what this board wants?
Something that could be made.
So whoever makes that motion, it has to be agreed upon by the entire body, so.
Okay,
so
wondered if it was an option.
Since you brought that up, you have 3 different cases here. So each of them have to be addressed and approved and or denied, okay? So it's not in one clump, okay? So it can go either way. So whoever decides to make a motion for 7, 8, or 9, or a group of you,
Mr.
however
Chair,
you want to do
Mr.
it.
Chair, I'm happy to make a motion to move this process along.
Okay.
And at least start getting some votes
All right,
going as
so
opposed to conversation.
Get the girl on the dance
Is
floor.
there one more option, is to defer to give them, to give the owner an opportunity to come speak? Is that a reasonable option? If it's not, I'm okay with it.
They'd have to ask for, Mr. Latson would have to ask for a deferral.
All right.
Like I said, Mr. Latson would have to ask for a deferral. I think he can hear me.
You aware of that, sir? Are you aware of that?
I think we could actually motion for deferral if that were the case.
Yeah.
But I'm prepared to make a motion to approve this application if that would please the chair.
All right. So we got a motion, not a motion. We got someone that's willing to make a motion. Mr. Nelson?
All right, Mr. Chair, in the case of BZA 0226000944 for the request to allow a proposed 6-story hotel on a parcel fronting Orleans Road, I would make a motion that we approve this request. In making my motion, I find that it meets all 7 of the criteria necessary to grant this request, that there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property. Again, what will frame the approval here is a lot of the commentary that I made thus far in regards to a property being purchased in 2015 when there were a different set of rules in place that have changed over the course of time, and now they're trying to utilize property for what they intended to purchase it for underneath a new set of criteria, and that's really driving the need for the variance request. So there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property. Number 2, that the conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. When you look at the site plan and you see the drainage features that are already present, the number of grand trees that are there in which the applicant is trying to avoid having to remove, that certainly drives the need for the project to go more vertical than it would otherwise be allowed to do. So that criterion is met. For criterion 3, that because of these conditions, the application of this ordinance to this particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict this property. Again, the site's usable acreage is reduced by the constraints that are present on the property. In fact, with a 60-inch DBH live oak centered in the middle of the property, there are very few uses in a commercial aspect that could be proposed for that property that wouldn't have similar impacts or need to encroach upon trees. And so the applicant's desire to, 1, incorporate underground drainage features into the project, and 2, to reduce the amount of impervious surface on the property so that they can meet the drainage requirements, all compel me to say that we meet criterion 3 as well. For criterion 4, the authorization of this variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent property or to the public good. Well, 1, the neighbor, the guy that's proposing the development owns the neighboring property, so I don't think he would propose something that's detrimental to his own neighboring use. And 2, we only had 1 letter in opposition to this project, so the public was not gravely concerned about the application that had been made for this building on this property. For criterion 5, the BZA shall not grant a variance, the effect of which would be to allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted. Again, this meets that criterion. This does fall within the allowed use on the property. For criterion 6, the variance is not the result of the applicant's own actions in meeting this criterion. This is related to the change in zoning that has occurred and the change in drainage requirements that have occurred since the applicant purchased the property. And 7, the granting of the variance does not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan or the purposes of the ordinance. And as stated in the staff assessment, the property is zoned in a manner that is fully consistent with surrounding commercial uses. And the proposed hotel aligns with the area's established development patterns. And so as staff said, it may meet this criterion. I'm saying that it does. In making this motion, I would include all 4 of the staff's special conditions. That, Mr. Chair, is my motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion that is properly moved and second. Do we have any discussion? Ooh, no discussion. All right. No questions of staff. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Ooh, boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All those opposed? 4. And what does that say for you, Mr. Attorney?
Motion carries.
45. So she carries.
All right, Mr. Chair, in the matter of BZA 0226000945, I would make a motion to approve this request that the applicant seeking a variance for drainage impacts to grand trees and tree wells. In making this motion, I find that it meets all 7 of the criteria necessary to approve this request. My reasoning and logic here will be very similar to the original, 0944 that we just voted on, that one, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property. Again, the number of grand trees, the small size of the property, and the drainage features that are present on the property are really driving the need to create the tree wells in an attempt to save the trees while still developing this property. 2, that the conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. Again, I don't know of a tremendous amount of 60-inch grand trees that are still located in West Ashley, particularly on Orleans Road. So the attempts to protect those trees are greatly appreciated, and so we meet that criterion. For criterion 3, that because of these conditions, the application of this ordinance to this particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict utilization of the property. If the applicant were unable to encroach upon these trees and build these tree wells, the ability to develop this site would be severely limited, and so I believe we meet that criterion. For criterion 4, the authorization of the variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent property or to the public good. Again, we really have a very few comments have been made by the public about this project and the attempt has been made to protect these trees as opposed to removing them, so we meet that criterion. For criterion 5, the BZA shall not grant a variance, the effect of which would be to allow an establishment that is not otherwise permitted in this zoning district. Well, we meet that criterion because it is an allowed use. For criterion 6, the need for the variance is not the result of the applicant's own actions. Again, with the development of a hotel on this particular piece of property and the need for the drainage features that are present and the desire to protect the existing grand trees that are on the property, all of those are driving the need to create these tree wells and encroach upon the canopy, so we meet that criterion. And for criterion 7, the granting of the variance does not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan or the purposes of the ordinance. Again, the use as a hotel is very much established along this particular corridor, and this would be consistent with those prior uses. In making this motion, I would again include all 4 of the conditions recommended by staff. That is my motion.
All right, we have a motion that's properly moved. Well, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, Mr. Brown. Now we have a motion that's been properly moved and second. We have any questions or discussion? Bring it to the vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we got more. 5, 6, 7. Okay. Any opposed? 1. That carries.
All right, Mr. Chair, in the case of BZA 0226000946, this particular request is for relief from ZLR's requirement for 1 parking space per hotel room, where the applicant's proposing 98 total spaces. And in this particular case, the applicant has reduced the number of parking spaces that they would otherwise build in order to protect the grand trees that are on the property. So in making this motion to approve this request, I believe that we meet all 7 of the necessary criteria. That 1, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property. That, again, looking at a property that has 4 or 5 grand oaks on it and a significant attempt made to protect those at the loss of a handful of parking spaces, I do believe we meet that criterion. For 2, these conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity, similar to what we've indicated for the previous cases associated with this application, that when you have multiple grand trees that you're trying to protect on a property, continue to develop it for its intended use, the attempt to move the stormwater drainage underground all the things that are necessary for this property to be developed. I believe that all of those lead to us meeting criterion number 2. For criterion 3, that because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to this particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict utilization of the property. In fact, in this particular criterion, if we very strictly applied this to this particular use, we would have to cause the removal of some grand trees. So applying this particular ordinance would actually be detrimental to the site. So I believe we meet that criterion. For criterion 4, that the authorization of the variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent property or to the public good. Again, we only have one letter of opposition, and that was mistakenly made for removal of trees and not necessarily to the development of a hotel on the property. There's really been no other public non-support for this project, so I believe we meet that criterion. For 4, this particular property is, again, zoned for the use in which it is being developed. It is zoned for hotel, so we meet that criterion. I think that was number 5. For criterion 6, the need for the variance is not the result of the applicant's own actions. Again, the need to reduce the number of spaces is really related to the desire to not remove grand trees on the property. So we meet that criterion. And 7, that the granting of the variance does not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan or the purposes of the ordinance, and given that we already have hotels that line this section of Orleans Road, it is an established development pattern, and we meet that criterion. And in making my motion, I would once again include the 4 special conditions recommended by staff. And Mr. Chair, is my motion.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Jordan again on the second. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? Very good. All those in favor of this variance, please indicate by saying aye and raising your right hand. Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same. Carries. Mr. Latson, your applications, plural, have been approved. Within the next 10 days, you'll be getting information from staff letting you know the next step in the process. Mr. Latson, you have completed a huge feat here tonight. I hope you're compensated for it. Okay. So, board members, do we have any questions about our upcoming meeting on April 20th? Ms. Working?
Yeah, so we'll have 10 cases, 5 SCRs and 5 variances. And then for May, it's real SCR heavy, 8 SCRs, 1 appeal, and 1 special exception for alcohol sales.
So I know I was late, and I apologize, and I saw the email, but what happened to this first case, our old business? Can you just elaborate on that just briefly?
Yeah, they're deferred until July 13th.
Okay. All right.
They're working with an attorney.
They want you to be here.
Can I just say something real quick, too, about the short-term rentals? We are adding to the application. You'll see next meeting. We know we're getting some questions about, like, the amount of guests in the bedrooms. We're changing the application for them to explain how many guests will be in each bedroom so you can have a better idea of, like, if there's going to be bunk beds or 2 twins. We're also adding to the application if they're having a property management company, so that'll be in the staff report as well. And they also need to provide us with the contact information of the property management company. I know there's been questions about the garage. We can't go inside the garage. I just asked our director, but I will start to ask them. But that might be a better question to ask them.
They can provide pictures.
They can provide pictures, but they're not required to.
Why can't you go in?
She just told me we're not allowed to. Building services is to my knowledge, is the only people that are allowed to inspect the inside of building, inside structures. So, yeah. And then a lot of these applications we sent out a lot of letters last year for violated, like, illegal short-term rentals. So a lot of these applications that are coming in were not permitted, and now they're getting into compliance. So there'll be a lot of those. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Thank you, Ms. Workin. Thank you, Mr. Foster and Ms. Hayes.
Yeah.
Means adjourned.
12:50 tomorrow. the spot.